And then you know what? Yeah, he carried Kyrie. If you're gonna say that, if you're gonna call me that, I'll say whatever you want.
Hey, at least Kyrie got somebody else that's won a championship to carry him. He got somebody else now on his team to help carry him. That guy knows what it's like to win a championship. Come on to Dallas, Clay. Come on to Dallas. The big three breaking up there in Golden State. So a lot of stuff to get into and talk about today. That is a fact. We'll see if it's fact or fiction as to whether or not Greg Berhalter will continue to be the coach of the USMNT, the national team, as they lose last night to Uruguay. Did you end up going out there, Sterling? Did you make the match last night?
I did not make the match last night.
I know you had been worn down from Lake Weekend and bachelor party and everything.
I'm still struggling, by the way.
Well, so was the men's national team, so you're fine. Maybe they were at the lake over the weekend. I'm not sure.
They could have joined me. Maybe they did some rock jumping.
At least they would have had a better excuse. Like, you know what? We went to the lake this weekend. That's our bad.
Why does it look like they play for ties? Or draws, sorry. Like,
because I think they were last night when Greg Berhalter in the 65th minute said 1-1, guys. It's 1-1. It's 1-1. You know what it is in your game? It's 0-0.
That was the softest thing I think I've seen a head coach do. I'm sorry. That's just, imagine if you are in a football game, like the NFL. And all of a sudden, you're like, someone in the AFC West it just took the lead, or because you don't have ties. But all right, we don't have to win. We don't have to win this game anymore.
You win the division if you win or that team loses.
Yes.
All right, and you're down 10-7, and it's like, well, do we risk some of our starters here getting injured? They said, boy, it'd be nice if we don't have to play these. Oh, hey, that other team is winning now. All right, Mahomes, get out of the game. Get out of the game. Let's crap. That's right, because that other.
And also, it's Bolivia. What have they shown you?
Exactly.
What have they? You knew they were going to lose that game.
See,
when you have the 1-1, do you think that game was over?
But here's what's amazing about that. On one hand, you've got the U.S. men's national team lamenting the fact that they didn't score more against Bolivia to help get a better goal differential out of the gates. Lamenting the fact that they lost to Panama, but then thinking that the team that they felt like they should have ran it up on, playing the team they just lost to, was going to end 1-1. No, you talked about how bad the team was that you beat, and then you lost to the other team, and they're tied. What part of that do you think is going to end in a tie with 30 minutes left to go of soccer? Plus, you're playing Uruguay, and they're trying to score. Like, you can't just simply park the bus and go, hey, it's one. If it's 1-1, then hey, let's park the bus. Let's bring everybody back. Because also, like, maybe score a goal because Panama ended up winning that match, and that goal at that time really didn't even matter because the U.S. never actually scored themselves. So a 0-0 tie, they still would have lost.
Even the goal that VAR, which I don't understand why they have, it's almost like the review of the Royals home run. Why do you have it if you're not going to actually use it? But it didn't matter because if United States doesn't score, which they didn't, that goal, frankly, does not matter because a draw wasn't going to be good enough.
Right. Yeah, and they put themselves in this position for a draw to not be good enough.
I actually thought that was one of the most entertaining parts of the game was them bringing up like new versions of the VAR to old the color commentator. I don't know who his name was, but he was awesome. He was just like shooting down every single. That's not the right one. That's different. Like it was. They were changing it up and then like presenting it to him in real time. Like,
right, because in the Euros they have different. VARs, they have different different technology that they use with the blue line, red line.
Not from the moon. Not from Jordan Love's seats. The all 22.
Awesome. It is the camera angle from the Chiefs radio broadcast booth, apparently.
They all saw the noise, obviously, because the second half was...
They did. The annoying part for me was the people blaming Arrowhead for it.
Right.
Like, oh, God.
I agree.
Oh, God. 2026 World Cup games are going to be played here. Oh, this is going to be a disaster. We got to watch the World Cup games played at Arrowhead at camera angle. No. Watch the MLS when they played at Arrowhead with Messi. It was a regular camera angle because Apple TV knows what the hell they're doing.
Can I just point out, I think I'm the only one who...
You like the all-22?
I didn't mind it.
It was the all-22 Chiefs view is what it was.
I didn't hate it. Like, I wouldn't say I could go out of my way and say I preferred it. But it was kind of cool watching things from up above and watching plays develop.
I have an issue with showing us different camera angles than what we have been conditioned to watch games in.
Sure.
That's it. So like when they tried with college basketball, they tried like the camera angle from the corner at the Grand Canyon game. Then they did a couple of possessions where it was from the scoreboard in the middle, like looking down, and it would follow that way. I'm like, just give me the camera view from half court on the sideline. That's what I've watched my entire life. This is the view I want. I don't like it in baseball games when they show the view of a pitch from behind the catcher. I don't want to see the pitch from behind the catcher. I want you to show me a view of the field from behind the catcher when there is a player that comes up to bat, because I want to know where the defense is positioned for that particular at bat. From that point forward, go ahead and show me the game from behind the pitcher. Those different views. It's off-putting. I don't know. It's unsettling for me. I've been conditioned to watch a game one way my entire life.
I think everyone was so used to watching it a different way, which is really fun. As a guy who doesn't watch a ton of soccer, just truthfully, I don't watch a ton of soccer. I thought it was kind of unique. I didn't hate it. Again, I'm not saying you have to like it. I just think there's always pushback to change, and the initial pushback is always going to be negative. It's never like, oh, that's awesome. Love this new rule. It's always like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened in the sport, in the history of sports. And then, like, you look in 5 years, like, oh, yeah, the pitch clock was actually maybe decent. I'm not just a
the ghost runner in extra innings was
hate
awesome.
That rule. The larger base. Can we agree on the larger base? Awesome.
I like it, yeah.
Awesome.
Need to put a safety base at first base then.
What, in the third grade?
You need a safety base at first base, man.
You need it in third grade.
No, you need a safety base at first base. You will get rid of, and you know what? From now on, if you have that, any runner that steps on the regular base, that's interference. You can get rid of all of the interference subjective content there, because there's no way a guy is going to be running on the inside part of fair ground of the line, and then have to curve back to get to the safety base. So you're not going to do that. So you've eliminated.
Does everyone get a Clementine after the game as well, or
I hope so. Those are healthy. They should get those.
I could go for a Clementine right now.
You should get those after games. Major League Baseball players should get those after games. Anyway, but yes, the larger bases, I'm good with that. The camera angle. The only thing that annoyed me about the camera angle, besides I didn't like watching it like that, I wanted more of a close-up view. There were some times when it's like, okay, you can see like a longer pass, and it's like, all right, that it showed the skill level of this particular pass across, the field. And to your point, I mean, there are. So while I talk about the way I've been conditioned to watch sports in the NFL, on Thursday night I do watch Prime Vision. I do watch the All 22 Prime Vision on Thursday Night Football. And I would probably watch all 22s if I had the choice during Chiefs games. I don't know if I would or not, because we don't have that every single weekend to really have that choice. And on Amazon Prime, when they play on Thursday night, there's the local broadcast. But then also I put on the side TV the Prime Vision, so I can see that as well, watch both of them. So I don't know if I was just watching one, which one I would choose to watch. But I like the option. The option is cool on Thursday nights. But yeah,
See, am I swaying you now, Jason?
Well, if soccer found anything, they could just put it on another channel. Say, like, here's your soccer fix. If you guys are big soccer
you want the entire
fans,
field.
Yep.
You want to watch the entire field, the way everybody's moving and everything.
Throw it on FS2.
Yep, exactly. FS2. FS1, you don't really need it on that.
ESPN 8 the Ocho.
The Ocho, man. Come on, let's rock the Ocho. It's almost July 4th. Don't they have coming up soon? Is it over the All-Star break when they do the Ocho for a day or two?
Oh, yeah. Well, the hot dog eating contest is no longer, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Bad news. I thought that's where you were going, but yes, they do.
No,
have,
but they do a day or two of the Ocho when they do
like cornhole,
and bowling or some other things.
That's on the SEC Network, presented by Johnsonville Sausage. I watch it all the time.
It's on the Longhorn Network now.
Also
it's
true.
on the Longhorn Network. What are they going to show on the Longhorn Network now? People at the Longhorn Network are like, thank God, I don't have to come up with anything else to show. We don't have to show the Fiesta Bowl from 1987 again. Oh, thank God, we don't have to worry about that programming. But look, it was a camera angle aside. I mean, it's not where I thought we would start, but it was a complete and total failure. I mean, it was a catastrophic failure to not make it out of the group stage when two of the teams are Panama and Bolivia. And if you've got a manager, and I'm with you on this, Sterling, that alerts the team that the score is 1-1 in a different game, I mean, there's a lot of things and reasons why people want to move on from Berhalter. and I'm generally in agreement with almost all of them, that's up there near the top.
Yeah.
That when you're alerting your team of what the other score, like, I don't care what we're going to win here. We're going to win. Unless we know that it is a draw and their match is over, and we have moved on if it's a draw and it's in the 90th minute or there's stoppage time, well, yeah, let's park the bus. There's no reason for us to go and try to score and then have a counter when we've already advanced. There's 30 minutes left to play. There's 30 minutes of soccer left to play. And the other team, Bolivia, you need Bolivia to hold on to a tie while also not giving up a goal. Just play your game, right? Just play your game. And the issue, like, we're dealing with right now is the disappointment. And maybe it's the, American exceptionalism of, like, why aren't we better at soccer when we're America, even though other teams...
Who do we beat, like Pakistan or stuff, like India in cricket? We're like, yeah, we'll beat you.
We can win in cricket, all right? Why can't we go and win in soccer? And, the issue is, like, the World Cup's coming up in a couple of years. It's right around the corner. There's no momentum gained from the 2022 World Cup at all. It feels like, if anything, at best, it's stagnant. If not, it's going backwards. And this group of players was supposed to be some kind of golden era with the skill and the ability with this group of players. This was supposed to be years and years and years and years of American soccer and the U.S. Soccer Federation saying all of the groundwork that we've been putting in to grow the game is now we're seeing the fruits of that labor, because this is the most skilled group of players we have ever seen at the same time, and younger players that are going to grow together, guys that are playing, they're not in the MLS. The problem was that all these players were playing in the MLS. They couldn't get on club teams over in Europe. And if they were on those teams over in Europe, the U.S. would be so much better. Maybe, but if they're over on those teams and not playing much, what's the point? They're not getting that experience of playing against those great players if they're riding the pine. In the MLS, they'd be playing. But that's besides the point. Like, this was supposed to be that group of players that we have been waiting and watching and like, okay, wait till, in the next 20 years, soccer's going to be huge in the United States. 20 years from now, soccer's going to be big. I mean, it's going to be something that we can go and be like the rest of the world and how good we are. And I don't buy into, and I'll never buy into, the conversation about, Uruguay, that's all they do is play soccer. And in the United States, we have a lot of other different sports that we play. We have a lot more people, okay? So if you just break it down, we have more, I bet we would have more youth playing soccer in the United States that just play soccer than they do in some of the countries that are better than the United States at soccer.
All right. So about 335 million in the United States.
Roughly.
Want to take a gander on how big Uruguay is?
50.
This says 3.4 million.
Like I said, 50 people plus 3.3950.
I mean, how absurd is that, by the way? I mean, like all they do is play soccer. I'm sure there are 3.5 million people in the United States that only play soccer, too.
Right, that only play soccer. Exactly. So, like, this whole, what if our best athletes? Like, the United States is not getting out-athleted on the field. Like, they aren't getting out-athleted. They're getting outplayed, tactical-wise, coaching-wise. And, Matt Beasley talked about it with the Men in Blazers that on Sunday night at the Madrid Theater, that, look, that group that made it out of group stage in the group of death in the World Cup had a bunch of guys that, they played in the MLS. And that was a criticism. But they were captains. They were guys that played all the time in the MLS. And they were guys that maybe didn't have the ability, but, man, it seemed like they had way more toughness than this team does. This team seems to fold a lot. And if you aren't mentally strong enough to avoid a red card in the first 20 minutes of a match against a team that the talk was, this is what they're going to try to do.
Yeah.
Panama's going to try to get under your skin. They're going to play more physical. This is the game they want to play. They want to make it chippy. They want to get you off your game by annoying you, and you lose your head and you punch somebody. And you get a red card. And then you're out of the group stage because of it. Like, if you can't be disciplined enough for the coach that you wanted, for the coach that you went and fought for, that this is the guy we want to play for, yet you're not actually playing for him, then what's the point of keeping that guy around? You don't have to like the coach to play hard for that coach. You don't have to love that particular guy to go out there and play hard. There are coaches that you may hate, but you're still going to bust your ass to prove them wrong. You know what? Bleep you. And as we've seen, there are also coaches you can like that you just simply go out there and lay eggs time and time again. Like, there's no reason for them to not be playing in the knockout round. There's no reason whatsoever for them not to be playing. And any other country, if you want to say you're serious, if the U.S. Soccer Federation wants to say they're serious about soccer in the United States, any country that claims they're serious about soccer would have fired the coach. He'd be fired. They would be moving on from this coach. Any other country, if this happened. And if they stay with Greg Berhalter, it's showing you what they really feel, that they don't think they're serious about it. Yeah. They don't really feel that they're serious about soccer in the United States if they're just going to go with it. Well, we're just going to keep moving forward with this guy. There's no momentum. This was a disaster. This was a failure. You make a change.
Yeah.
You find somebody else. You've got 2 years before the World Cup. Because if it continues to be a disaster and then you make a change, we'll see if you've got enough buildup to that. And one more point on this. If we talk about this being the golden age, right? The golden age of soccer and skill and ability for these players. And we say, well, maybe it's the players, right? Because I've seen Taylor Twellman. Sometimes the players have to step up and take responsibility too.
Sure.
Absolutely, I agree. Totally they do. But how do we know it's the players specifically? The only way you can know if it's the players is if you move on from this coach and find a new coach. You find a new coach and the players still suck, we got to find a different group of players. We find a new coach and they are still playing like this. Okay, it wasn't Berhalter, but that means this group of players don't have it. This group, this combination, this team. You don't have to always just get the most talented guys. Sometimes you need the best team together. And this team, for whatever reason, it's not working. They're not creative enough. They start off games where they talk about after the game is over that, the intensity should have came out at the beginning.
How do you not get up for a game like this?
It's unbelievable.
How do you just, should have had more intensity?
You probably shouldn't even admit that. That's one where you just don't even admit it. You're just like, oh no, we were busting our ass. It's just one of those things that happens. We had this not go our way, that not go away.
And they were intense early. I'll give USA that. It was. Mm-hmm. I liked the physicality early. I really enjoyed it, and they just kind of crumbled.
So we'll take a break on this. With the World Cup coming up in 2 years, if you continue with Greg Berhalter, the players in their positions right now are comfortable in those positions that they have right now. When you move on and you bring in a new coach, those players have to re-earn their spot. So now you've created that competitive edge within the team to try to re-earn their spot, to go in, whether it's somebody that's not on the team, a new manager coming in, a new view, saying, well, actually, I like this guy over here. Let's expand this particular group of players to come in to see what we're going to pick with our World Cup team. So now the players that are currently on the team also have to fight to keep their spot. It drives up, that competitive atmosphere. Berhalter, guys know what they have. You already know the guys he likes, guys he's going to play. Those guys feel pretty good. Bring a new guy in, well, crap, now I got to prove myself to him. The comfort is gone. You shake some things up, you present anxiety, which isn't a terrible thing because it can offer competitiveness in that anxiety. It's why teams always talk about, camp battles, those position battles, it's always great. Anytime you get those guys battling to win the starting job, it's always good. Why? Because guys don't get complacent. Because that guy's going to push you to work harder. Right now, there's nobody on this U.S. men's national team, but Berhalter is the coach that's pushing somebody else to work harder than what they're doing right now. A new manager coming in, you have to re-earn your spot. Now you're getting pushed by the guy behind you, or next to you, or in front of you, whatever it may be.
And if you liked that guy, like everyone's saying,
yeah, we love him.
You also as players take it on yourself as saying, gee, we just got that guy fired because we were, if that is truly the players when they're saying, well, the players have to take it upon themselves. They will. Fire the coach, and then they'll say, wow, man, we really like Greg, but look what we did because we weren't playing well.
Yep. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. Royals get ready for a 3-game set with Tampa Bay before heading on the road until after the All-Star break. So after these 3 games, the next time you see the Royals will be post-All-Star break. We'll talk a little bit about the Royals. We'll talk some Chiefs today. We'll continue rolling along. More Zone next. I'm continuing right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels. We had up until 2 o'clock. Coming up 11 o'clock, we'll talk with Matt Lane, KC Sports Network. We started off talking about the men's national team last night and the catastrophic failure of getting grouped and losing in the Copa and losing here at Arrowhead Stadium. Yeah.
Where was the magic? Where was the Mahomes magic?
It wasn't there. It was a different kind of football. The Mahomes magic was down in Lubbock, showing the new Mahomes logo on the field. Did you see that?
Yeah, he actually. Did you hear on the broadcast though? One of the best lines of the night at the end when they were calling for 2 goals in like 6 minutes. The play-by-play said, "This building's seen a lot of magic in the recent years." So
I did not hear that.
it was a nice little nod to Arrowhead. I liked it.
No doubt. I gotta pull up the. So you haven't seen it. You need to check it out. Patrick Mahomes has his PM his logo. The Patrick Mahomes logo is now on the field at Texas Tech. If you haven't seen that,
I love the
unveiling.
Yes.
Yes,
With the tape.
Here you go, Sterling. So they've got tape on the field,
Okay.
and they have a helicopter to rip the tape off because they were Under Armour. Now they're Adidas.
Oh my!
And so now there's a huge Adidas, the Texas Tech, and then Mahomes.
Is that for every
logo.
game? Is
That's their home. That's their home field now. So they went from Under Armour because Mahomes, when he was wearing any Texas Tech gear
At the Final Four, that
he had to put tape over the Under Armour and write Adidas on it because he's
Is
Adidas.
that 2021? I think it was
Dude.
2021. Yeah.
And
you know
so
what?
now they've signed up with Adidas, and Mahomes is a big reason why they got this deal. And now you've got Mahomes' logo on the Texas Tech field.
Do you know how much of a goat you have to be to get that to happen? Your logo is on a field. Hey
mean-
Brady, where's your logo on the field, guy?
I mean, that Jordan isn't even on the field of the Big House. Like, think about that. It's like one of the biggest brands in college football, and Jordan, as well, is one of the biggest brands in all
And it
of
doesn't
college.
have the Jumpman
Exactly.
on the field, and they were one of the first Jumpman teams.
And he goes to games.
North Carolina,
here.
Michigan.
Yeah.
There was the original Jumpman logo
That's
teams.
another good point. It's not on North Carolina.
Yeah.
Anything in North Carolina.
Right. He's got his logo on the field at Texas Tech, man. That's a baller move, dude. That is a baller move. I'm not going to lie. I do
get
think
my logo here.
you should. Yeah,
on
absolutely.
on the 810.
Once you get a full deal for everybody to get paid a lot of money by Adidas or Nike or Under Armour, it doesn't matter. Reebok, I don't
Vineyard
care.
Vines.
British Knights, doesn't matter. LA
Joy.
Gear,
FootJoy.
FootJoy,
that'd be great golf shoes.
Skechers, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'll do it. You can put your logo right there. Right there. Put it right over here.
What would my logo be? Be a good logo. SH.
I'm not good with I'm not good with coming up with
Graphic
logos.
design, yeah.
The graphic design is my thing. Mahomes'
Okay,
logo's
the
pretty awesome.
intern. I'm gonna need you to create a logo for me.
Intern. We got to get a nickname for him.
The intern.
We got to get a nickname for him, man.
He's not even looking. He's not even paying attention.
Yep, you know what? Ignoring the intern.
Not just ignoring me.
Just ignoring us.
Wow.
Ignoring.
I need you to create a logo for me, okay? Like a brand logo.
Graphic design logo.
Graphic
for,
design.
for Sterling to put somewhere in here
Yeah.
if Sterling gets a deal done, so that we all get sponsored by Adidas or Nike or Under Armour again. Skechers, LA Gear,
Vans,
BKs. I don't care.
Converse.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I told him he
G4 golf
doesn't
shoes.
actually have to do it, but he is going to do it. So.
No, you absolutely don't have to do it. No,
I told
not,
him.
not at all.
Trust
Not
me.
at all. No.
Full disclosure.
Well, then what's the point of interns?
To not come up with your logos,
Sports
to,
stats,
sports
learning
stats,
sports broadcasting.
learning things.
Well, I'm teaching him a valuable lesson that sometimes
Branding. Hey,
that
branding.
branding is
You know
important.
what? That's right. That's right. Okay, we'll see what he comes up with. We'll judge it. We'll have him. We'll come in here later and we'll see what.
We can all hold
what
up
he comes
numbers
with.
and
We'll
just,
judge his logos on an audio medium. We will judge what we see from his logo.
and we'll
for
just
Sterling.
describe it. And we'll describe it. Yeah.
Yes. How would you describe Patrick Mahomes' logo? So I saw somebody describe it as his gladiator logo, because it kind of looks like it's
Yeah.
kind of a gladiator, sort of like I don't even know. It's a great logo. I like the logo. I hated the original one.
Yeah.
His first logo that he had sucked.
Yeah.
This one much better. So I mean, look, you get bigger, better, more talented, Super Bowl rings, more exposure. You get better marketing people to Have your really cool. That's like a gladiator, like right?
That is
I don't even know
gladiator.
because it looks like a gladiator mask, right?
Yeah.
That's the gladiator mask that they would wear.
With like
if
a
you take away that
crest
part,
above it.
right? Yeah, take away that part. It looks like the mask the Royals would wear last year when they would hit home runs.
Yes.
And they were coming in the dugout. That's what they would wear. And then you put like a half circle, half crescent, sort of on top of that for the P, And so you got PM. And it looks like the gladiator mask. Yeah, it's a badass logo. I love it. And now it's on the Texas Tech field.
And so the middle thing, you see how there's kind of a slant at the top? It's pointed at 2 o'clock for 2 p.m., by the way. Just a little subtle thing. Do you see it there?
Yeah.
Because he wants 2 p.m. That was the original.
Yeah, the original was 2
about.
p.m. I didn't like it.
He likes the 2 p.m. nickname. I like it. It's a great nickname.
Yeah.
But that is where they...
It's weird because when I write anything Patrick Mahomes, I write PM2. PM... I. That's anything that I write on my
form accurate.
Right, but my format, my notes, everything when it comes to watching a Chiefs game, anything that happens is just PM2.
Yeah.
I'm not writing Mahomes. What's that?
Why isn't it 13?
Well, because he's number
second.
15.
And he's also the Patrick Mahomes the second.
I was making a 13-second joke.
Ah.
Yeah.
Well, I picked that up. I was just...
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's what it is. The logo he's going to put on the Bills turf when they build a new stadium.
13,
it's just going to be
15.
.13.
That was the
13
best,
to 15. Just
one of the best tweets was the Franco, first time one. It just said Bills to the U.S. men's national team after a devastating loss at Arrowhead. A lot of good Arrowhead humor that picked me up last night after that loss.
Yeah, that was it was nice. It was unfortunate with the loss. It's not why they lost, but it was an embarrassment with the officials, with the referee, specifically the referee.
2 scoops of ass.
Yeah. His first time in a match of that magnitude. I mean, that's not where...
It's always good.
It's not where you get the person's first experience. It's not what you do. I mean, this is at Copa America. This is national team. This is country playing country. We had a Little League game like a month ago where we were playing in a semifinals of a pretty big tournament, and the home plate umpire, it was his first game he'd ever umpired. Home plate umpire. And if I told you it was bad, it wouldn't even be able to the point where we couldn't even say anything. He was behind the catcher, like legit, like 5 to 6 feet behind the catcher is how far back he was standing. He wouldn't bend his knees. He just bent over a little bit, and nothing was a strike. Everything was just it was like, where was that? He would just guess, like, inside. And then every once in a while, somebody would go, where was that? And he would go, it was a strike. Hold on. It was so bad. Like, dude, this is semifinals. This isn't a group. Like, this isn't a pool play or whatever. That's what it felt like last night. Like, that guy was so out of his element. He was not ready for the moment to be in that stage with that on the line. And they probably looked at it and said, oh, we'll get him a group stage game and not a knockout round game.
Right.
But then you got a third game of a group stage, which is, win or go home. The first game, hey, you've got some wiggle room after that.
So take this as you will. There is a controversy prior to this surrounding him on Wikipedia. So again, take this as you will. But it says there's a game that he refereed from Bolivia and Boca Juniors from Argentina in May of 2022. He was the center of a controversy. Boca Juniors won the game 1-0 on a controversial penalty, after which the Bolivian police searched the referee's booth and seized several Boca Juniors shirts that had been given to the referee team before the game.
He's Chilean, though.
So I don't know. Take it as you will, but not good when you get seized by police.
It's not good when you blow the whistle to issue a red card to the U.S. and while showing the red card,
Yellow card.
Sorry, yellow card. Thank you. While showing the yellow card, Uruguay drops the ball to go and play, and the referee puts the yellow card away and then lets them play on and lets them play advantage, which nobody had ever seen before until last night. And then you've got the handball on Uruguay when Pulisic makes a brilliant move to the side, and he's got not necessarily a breakaway, but a clear advantage.
Yeah.
And then he blows the whistle after Pulisic had already made that move, blows the whistle, and then brings it back to where the handball was. Like, it was absolutely brutal.
I could have dealt with all this, but when you don't shake a player's hand after the
Pulisic,
game,
it
looks so bad. Like,
you look petty.
But you also look like, again, at worst, you have a beef with a player as a referee. That is at best. That's at best.
So Bolivia was the underdogs, huh? On betting sites?
Bolivia, Panama?
Not Bolivia.
Uruguay?
Uruguay.
Oh, yeah. So you're saying that he
What
had some
are
money?
you saying?
He had some money on
I'm
the
just
game?
saying the game.
He had some money?
If it's a draw, it doesn't matter. Win matters. That 1-0 VAR call mattered. Just saying.
Yeah.
I'm being facetious mostly, but like. I'm
It
just
was
saying,
bad,
when you
though.
don't shake the dude's hand post game and all those things, you're sitting here going.
To be fair, he said something to him prior, but you're an official. You're kind of supposed to be above the
Right. And he's also, I mean, he's in his feelings because he knows he was terrible in that game.
Right.
And Pulisic was on him in stoppage time after it was close. Pulisic felt like he got fouled, and I think that was the buildup of the frustration.
Exactly. Yeah.
But and even on the broadcast, they were like, looked like the defender's foot hit the ball before it hit Pulisic's foot. So that would be an iffy call at best. Probably not a penalty there. But you've got the entire game's worth of buildup. Not to mention the Panama game where they felt like it was one-sided, the officiating that was going on. So you've got back-to-back games where you felt like you're kind of getting screwed.
It's also a tournament that you're not normally in, that you get to be in because you're hosting the World Cup.
Right. And so it's like, you haven't been in this tournament since 2016. It's been 8 years since you've been invited to the tournament.
The ref really pulled a Rory McIlroy instead of a Akshay Bhatia.
I'll take your word for it, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what the second part
Well,
is.
Rory walked away, and then Akshay
yes.
Bhatia stayed
I see what
after
you're
he
saying.
missed that little
I
three-footer.
see what you're saying, yeah.
Similar situation. But,
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, it was rough. It's not why they lost. Although we say it's not why they lost, it could have been. Like, who knows?
Right.
It could have been. You change up one thing in the game, right? If
You got to score. You got to score
for sure.
And I know I agree with you because
at the end of the game, when the U.S. had one of the best opportunities, and instead of just one quick touch over to Pulisic, who was standing as wide open as you're going to find anybody with an open net, and instead you attempt to kick it through three different Uruguay defenders.
It's everyone trying to be the hero.
Right. And lack of creativity.
And
Like, I'm just going to kick it. Yeah. Not quick enough for a first touch to then, strike the ball, but a slower, longer developing touch to then try to get behind the ball and then one touch away from a wide open Pulisic shot.
Exactly. I knew we were in trouble. Tell me if you guys remember this part. The goalie calling off the defender because he's got it, and then he just kicks it out of bounds to the other. Did you see that? I was like, oh, well, this is not our day. This just looks so disjointed.
It's rough, man. It looked like they looked like they were, I don't know, some would say poorly coached.
Some say.
It's on the players, so
It is on the players to be better coached.
to look at themselves.
It's got to be on the players to be better coached.
Who was the guy that said, like, you can't change all the players. You have to change the coach? I think it was Dempsey or
I don't even remember who it was.
Wallace after the game.
You can't change
Yeah,
everything.
this is it.
Because if you change every single player, then what you've said for the last 4 or 5 years about this being the golden era of U.S. men's national team, you look like you are just foolish and dumb and you are wrong. And all of this buildup of post Donovan and Dempsey was, we got it wrong. We've got like Pulisic is badass, but then we've got other guys that maybe we were thinking they were better than what they actually were.
And I'm not going to feel bad for Bertholtzer one bit because if you weren't playing politics at the World Cup, you wouldn't even be in this position.
And I think there's the accusation, at least the talk, the whispers, the smoke around the fact that he got rehired was to avoid a lawsuit. I mean,
Well,
if that's
what did they say? He went like 1 draw, 6 losses after his rehire. So
right. And look, beating Mexico matters. Okay, beating Mexico matters.
It does.
But this is I preface it with that.
For the Gold Cup.
But if you take away the Mexico wins and maybe the worst Mexico side that we've seen maybe
didn't make
ever.
it either.
Yeah, maybe the worst Mexico side we've seen ever.
Yeah.
But the last couple of years, the 4 wins against Mexico for Berhalter. Outside of that, he hasn't defeated a top 20 nation. He hasn't defeated a top 20 nation. The best he has is number 24. It's the best win he has, and that was in the World Cup group stage. It's the best win. Now, the friendly against Brazil was a draw. But as far as an actual win against a top 20 nation, the only wins that he has are against Mexico. Again, and maybe the worst Mexico side we've ever seen. So there's an element. It's like
It's a group of 5 coach to
right.
me.
That's right. There's some context to and some nuance to even the Royals. It's like, well, the Royals won in 2015. Yes, they took advantage of what was going on in baseball, which was the Red Sox, the Yankees, some of those teams that weren't at the level of what we are used to seeing them. Mizzou in the SEC winning the East. They took advantage of Georgia and Florida, and teams that would be typical powerhouses weren't at that level. Georgia was going through their Mark Richt thing, right? And now they're in their Kirby Smart thing. Good luck to other teams.
I also just love Arkansas, who's been in a perpetual down year for 20 years now?
Roughly.
Yeah. Well, wait till we catch you when we're back.
Yeah.
Well, it's been 20 years. It's like Nebraska football.
Right. So there's that as well. It's like the results on the field are also not. It's not like things are going. This was a bad tournament, but man, they've been really good. That hasn't been the case. There's no momentum coming out of that World Cup. In fact, it's all been bad since that World Cup making out of the group stage. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Continue rolling more zone next. because coming up at 11 o'clock, I'm going to talk to Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, and so I'm going to be doing work. That's work. That's real work, talking to Matt Lane about some football. While Sterling will be hanging out, writing his Fact or Fiction questions, and eating Rosedale barbecue.
Yeah, this sausage is fire. It's on the other side of you right now.
Dude, you could not have it in front of me right now to be able to just talk. Rosedale dropped off some barbecue here for us today. We're going to be there tomorrow. 90th anniversary for Rosedale. 1934 tomorrow. They're celebrating the 90th anniversary, which means that they're going to be selling a number of things for $19.34, like a full slab of ribs. And my guy was in here, and he's like, hey, man, just think of what you're going to be. Here's some menus for tomorrow. I'm like, dude, I'm getting the dynamic duo. I don't need a menu. I know what I'm getting tomorrow already is the dynamic duo. Or sometimes it'll be the belt buster and maybe just open up the sandwich and just pick at all the different types of meats that are on there. Man, of course, that's also including the ribs and
this is my childhood.
Is unbelievable.
Right here. My childhood barbecue was me and my dad going to Southwest Boulevard to Rosedale.
Yep.
We'd get chopped beef on bun and an RC.
And the RC, that's right,
man.
man.
They actually brought RC without us even asking. And they brought me a chopped beef on bun, and I am just...
They bought that just for you, specifically?
Yeah, this brown bag.
How'd they know that? Did you call them?
Well, no, Zach texted last night, but you were apparently too busy to respond to us.
My bad. What's that text at? I always reply to texts immediately.
So...
oh, I saw the one about Tahoe.
Yeah, so we got the Lake Tahoe one. You got that one, huh?
Where's the other text?
Which, by the way, you're welcome. They had the wrong number for you. Someone who works here.
That's fine.
And they were texting me and someone else, and I go, were you trying to text Jason? Because that's not Jason. This barbecue, though, is incredible, dude.
I saw they'll be there at 10:30, so don't eat breakfast. And then I didn't read the rest of it because that's what came up on my Apple Watch.
I have already had a link of sausage.
Dude, the sausage is unbelievable. I think more on the rare side of people that when I go to barbecue restaurants, 70-80% of the time will end up ordering some type of the sausage when it comes to the food. Because there are plenty of people like, well, I'm not barbecue, I'm not getting the sausage. I'm not going to get sausage at barbecue. I don't care what you're going to get. This is what I'm going to get, and the sausage is fire, dude. It is awesome, man. Oh, I cannot wait to be at Rosedale tomorrow. Man. Frank Bowl, beef deluxe and a pound of fries. Oh, they got the fries and the onion rings right here, too.
Those look
Frank.
fire, too.
Beef deluxe and the pound of fries, dynamic duo. We'll be there tomorrow. I'm in heaven right now.
GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, hanging out on a Tuesday edition of The Zone. Man, I am in heaven while also being tortured at the same time. Can you be tortured in heaven? That's the question we're all going to ask. The existential question that people have asked for years and years and years. Is there a such thing as torture in heaven? I don't know. But if there is, it's what I'm going through right now, because in front of me is all of this Rosedale barbecue, and Sterling is eating it right now. His specially made, specific for him sandwich that they brought in, because apparently there was a text last night that I overlooked about what specifically you would like, or I would have ordered the dynamic duo, but I'll get it tomorrow, damn it. And so you're eating that right now, and I'm going to be talking football to Matt Lane. It's heaven that I'm talking football while also barbecue in front of me. It's torture because there's another 20 minutes before I'm going to eat it. Before I'm going to get another bite of it.
At least you can smell it. I'm sitting over here on the other side of the glass, and it's more torture when you don't even get the aroma.
Well, why don't you have any in there? Like, Drake is perfectly fine with barbecue sauce on the board.
Oh yeah,
he's totally fine with grease and barbecue sauce on the board.
Coffee and water.
Yeah, eating some ribs and then potting the mic up and down.
I didn't grab napkins for a reason.
That makes sense. Yeah,
not a problem.
Sipping on my RC, me and my RC. Oh, man. All right, well, Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, kcsn.substack.com, the KC Laboratory Podcast. Matt, welcome into the show. How are you, sir?
I was doing real good, so you guys started talking about barbecue while I was sitting here waiting, and now I'm hungry, so
yes.
There's a pickle now.
Yeah, well, they got pickles, too. They got the hot pickles that they brought in, so they've got that for you. But, yeah, I'm sitting here with some ribs in front of me, some sausage, some different chopped beef, and I'm just we're just gonna. Do you have a copy of War and Peace in front of you, or like The Art of War or something that you can just read chapter 1 and I'll eat while you just go ahead and maybe Hamlet, Shakespeare, Act 1, you can just go ahead and read it and we'll all listen in while I'm eating?
Make sure I read real slow.
That's exactly right. Yes, that'd be great.
Me and Matt are gonna do a fake mock fantasy draft now for the entire segment.
Pick one.
Everybody loves that, and that'll kill it a bunch of times.
I'll take McCaffrey. All right, now I got my next pick is 15 picks from now. All right, here we go. I get to eat. Let me enjoy some food. Yes, I don't know. Do you prefer, Matt? This is a random question. Do you prefer to be the first or last pick in a draft to where you're doubling up, or would you want to be right in the middle?
Ooh, so I had to stop playing fantasy football a few years back because I realized that, as I tried to learn more about the X's and O's of football and get, deeper into why things worked, I got worse at fantasy football. Drafting just good football players isn't really how you play fantasy football, outside of the first 2 rounds. So I got really bad about it the more I tried to, really dive into learning about schemes. So I stopped playing. Now, when I did play, I was a little bit bigger. If you didn't get the first 3 picks, because at the time when I was still playing, people still did all running backs to start. And so you didn't get one of those first 2 to 3 picks when it was always draft running backs first. You would rather kind of be at the end and get a double up. I know a lot has changed since then. I think there's a lot of people now that like preferring being square in the middle and so on and so forth. But I'm a few years now removed from trying to play some fantasy football.
To me, the strategy sort of depends on how prepared I am for the draft. Most of the time, I'm pretty prepared. But if I'm not as prepared, I would prefer to be first or last. So then I'd have my 2 picks, and I've got time to then come up with strategy while the other picks are going on. I know I got time to then, set my players of what I want. But if I'm right in the middle, it's fine. But there is something nice about you make your 2 picks, and then you got a while, and you got more research you can do while everybody else is picking. You pick right in the middle, you've got that research is going to be the same amount of time, and it's like, all right, well, it's going to be quicker. So, it just sort of depends on what you're into. So,
and it gives you longer time to if you were trying to decide between 2 guys, then you take 1 or 2, and then you get more time afterwards to either celebrate or just sit there and dwell on the pick and wonder if you made the right or wrong one for the next 45 minutes before you're up again.
Especially when there's 5 or 6 picks after that, and you're like, here's the run on that position. I should have gone that. I'm screwed. There's no way I'm going to get this. No way I'm going to get one of these 3 guys on the way back. It's not happening. It's not happening.
Exactly.
I screwed. I made the wrong decision. And at the end of the draft, every single person gets up and goes, "I hate my team." I hate my team. And the person that says they like their team, they lost. They're finishing dead
let's
last.
immediately go to the waiver wires if I didn't just have 16 rounds to attempt to draft this guy, but I'm sure there's somebody that's going to help my team still available out there.
It is without fail that when you play fantasy sports, that the first week that's done and you go to the waiver wire and you're like, how was that guy not drafted? Like, how is this guy out there available? What are we doing as a group? We've got 25 guys in this league. Somehow that guy wasn't drafted. Every time. Doesn't matter who it is.
Yep.
Matt Lane is our guest, KC Sports Network. Well, you know what? Here's a transition from that. Just popped into my head as we're talking about things we like or don't like. It's 2 weeks from today that quarterbacks and rookies will be reporting to St. Joe. Is there a positional group that maybe you aren't comfortable with? Like, this team's so good and the roster's so good that, it seems like we talk about the marginal areas of how this team can improve or what they need to do. Like, we're not talking about are you going to get good play from the quarterback? What's the overall defense or the offensive line in general, et cetera, or coaching or something like that, offensive coordinator. Is there a position or a positional group that maybe you're more uncomfortable with before we get ready for training camp?
So I think the first one's left tackle. I'm a little less certain of, than a lot of other Chiefs fans, just about the comfort, how comfortable I am going into the year with a Wanya Morris and a Kingsley Suamatea competing for this job. And if neither one of those guys take the right steps from when they last played football, which one was at college at BYU, one was as a backup left tackle for the Chiefs last year, if neither guy take that step forward, they don't have an option currently on the roster to slide into that spot. But I feel like, everyone's kind of talked that one all off season long. They're giving these young guys a chance. There's still some veterans out there, whether it's a Donovan Smith return if things don't go well. I think they still have options at left tackle if that doesn't work. But the next one on the list is just the running back position to me. I think it's just real thin. I think the Chiefs running back room as it stands right now is real thin, and I don't think they've done a lot to address the lack of dynamic playmaking they have out of the group or really replace Jerick McKinnon as a third down back. It's that's kind of where I think when training camp starts, I'm curious, is somebody going to come up and take that kind of role in the running back room, or is it going to be a position that they're kind of waiting to see if somebody gets cut, or they're just going to try to piece together as the year goes on?
Oh, you're done talking already? I thought you were going to keep going. My bad.
I can.
No, I'm just joking with Matt Lane. Who do you think the leader in the clubhouse? And my follow-up in the running back room, because it is something that I'm fascinated to watch when they get up to training camp and put the pads on. Is it Deneric Prince because he's been here for a year? Is it Ingram because he's got more experience? Is it Luis Rees-Zammit because they're fascinated by his ability to return kicks? Who do you think the leader is for that third running back spot right now?
This is where it gets extra complicated. So we know Isaiah Pacheco is the starting running back, and Claudio Delaire is the backup to him. And so with those two in place, I think the clear thing that you need from the next guy is you need somebody that can be useful on third downs, and you probably want someone to add a little bit more of a dynamic ability. Now, Pacheco can rip off big, long runs. He's really fast, but it does, he needs a little bit of a runway to get up to speed.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times when you watch him, I don't think I classify Pacheco as a dynamic running back. He's physical, he's strong. I just don't know if he's as dynamic, a super playmaker at the position. So they're kind of missing that guy that when he's out in space, he feels dangerous. It's not Clyde. It's not quite Pacheco. So they are missing that body type. And 3 years ago, that was McKinnon. He could still make guys miss. He still had some juice. Now, last year, that age started to show a little bit for him. So he wasn't really doing that. So they're kind of missing that dynamic, out-in-space playmaker, but also has to be able to be solid in pass protection. So I get the appeal of a Deneric Prince. He's very fast. He's explosive. You get him in space and give him a straight line, he can definitely make the most of it. But again, I don't know if he's super elusive when you get him in the open field, and he hasn't really proven himself on third downs in college, or especially in the NFL, or in college as a receiver and as a third down back. So I lean towards Keontae Ingram winning the job. I just don't know if he provides that as much. He doesn't provide the dynamic aspect either. He's essentially, in my mind, another version of Claudio Delaire.
Yep.
Yeah, he can kind of do everything, but I don't know if he's going to excel at what the Chiefs are missing at the position. So that's what makes the running back room a little lackluster to me overall, but also fascinating to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I'm with you. One of the things I wanted to see in the draft, and they may have been going a certain direction, but then, somebody's there that they don't expect to be there. All of a sudden, you're getting a safety that should have been gone in the second round, and he's there in the fourth round. Well, maybe that's where they would have taken a running back, right? We don't know what this strategy was, and then all of a sudden something happens and it may change that. I've just felt like with this running back room and going back to the last time the Chiefs did not win a Super Bowl, when Jerick McKinnon had stepped up and he was the starting running back, and what he did against the Bills in that divisional round game and how good he was in that burst. And the same thing against the Bengals as to what, the conversation is, why didn't they run the ball more in the second half? Just run the freaking ball. All these RPOs. Okay, Mahomes, something happened to him. The Monstars came down, touched him, took his talents somewhere else, but he wasn't Patrick Mahomes. Okay, well then take the RPO out of his hands and just give the ball to Jerick McKinnon, okay? The interception that Mahomes threw in the second half, it was like 2nd and 2 because they just had like an 8-yard run by Jerick McKinnon. Like, just give him the ball. He was so dynamic. It's that player. You've mentioned dynamic a couple times, and I'm right there lockstep with you. It's that element, the quick burst to me of, especially on some of these screen passes, Matt, to where they throw the ball and then turning and looking. It feels like even those are more slow developing, like boom, get there. And they try to run outside the tackles a number of times, and I just don't think they have the personnel to do that, which changes, how they want to run their offense. If you've got that threat to go outside the tackles while having the threat of Pacheco and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you become more balanced in that running back room. I was more surprised that wasn't addressed, that it was somebody that offered that Jerick McKinnon, whether that be third down back, that's great pass protection and catch the ball. To me, it was more about how quick his burst was. Not necessarily the top end speed, but how quickly he got to the holes and how quickly he started running and would get to top end.
Yeah, and then he was, elusive once he got out there in the open field. So, it wasn't, you didn't expect the first guy to even, not just bring him down, but you didn't always expect that first guy to get there to even make contact sometimes. I think that's what you're looking at with a Pacheco or a Clyde. I mean, even Keontae Ingram, who I do like, and like I said, I think probably would be my betting favorite to win that third running back spot. These are still guys that, even if they break a tackle, you're probably dealing with a guy that's being slowed down a little bit through contact or having to stop to make a guy miss. And nothing wrong with that. It's taking away an element that this room is kind of missing. And I think if you were to pick one thing that this offense hasn't addressed yet, that would be it. Is a dynamic out-space player at the running back spot. And so you mentioned the draft there, and I was kind of going back through real quick. I love the pick of Jaden Hicks in the 4th round, the safety. Yeah. But that's kind of the area where I think you could have started to earmark and really look for a running back to fill that role. But if you kind of look the next few running backs off the board, Braylon Allen, Audric Estime, they're going to be bigger guys.
Yeah, that's right.
They're not the same type of guys either. So maybe they just didn't get the draft in it fall the right way for them to spend that mid-round pick, and they got a great value on Jaden Hicks, but it just didn't fall to where they could add somebody, I guess, maybe in that role. So I am curious to see how that position battle goes once training camp starts, because Clyde Edwards-Helaire as a backup running back is okay. I think in the perfect world, you would want somebody to not only get that third down running back role, that dynamic role, that's also good at pass protector, but also someone that could probably push Clyde down to your running back 3 as the year went on. I don't know if they have that right now. And so, that probably is one of the weaker position groups on this Chiefs team. And I guess if that's what you're dealing with, your weakest position group, that's probably a good thing overall for the team, though.
Yeah, so the player that I was surprised that went in the 5th round, and this is not to say that I would prefer this guy over a Jaden Hicks, just if I'm looking at maybe the body type or that particular element of what you would like to see them have, that dynamism that's there. At the end of the 5th round, the Jaguars take Keelan Robinson from Texas. Great return specialist, smaller dude, very fast, quick, elusive. But that was at the end of the 5th round. And the Chiefs also took Hunter Norzad before that. So they had another chance to take that spot if they wanted to take him. Clearly it wasn't somebody that was higher up on their board. So it wasn't as if oh my God, they're going to take Robinson here, but Jaden Hicks is available, so you can't pass up on that value. And then 3 picks later, that guy went. No, they had another pick. They had Hunter Norzad that they took. It was a little bit of a surprise that they didn't go running back, but also just how the board, ends up. And I think that's part of what I'm, when we discuss this team, that it's so many first world problems with this Chiefs team, that there's so many teams that are trying to figure out who's coaching, who's offensive coordinating, who's quarterbacking. Last year we were wondering about who would catch the football. There isn't that necessary wonder or concern this year. Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, kcsn.substack.com. I got asked this question on Sunday, and I thought about you, and I'm like, you know what? I want to ask Matt Lane this question coming up this week. Who are you in 2 weeks from now? When the pads come on, who's a player or players? There were 3 that popped into my mind immediately. that you're looking forward to watching at camp, to get your eyes on in person, just to watch at camp when the pads are on and we have more actual practices?
Okay, so this does get a little tricky. So training camp, like notoriously leading up into training camp, when you go through mini camp and all that stuff, that is often referred to as a passing camp. You have a lot of the receivers, quarterbacks, they're getting a lot of work. Even DBs are getting a lot of work. So I think when training camp first starts, not only is there now a bigger focus on the run game, but you also have receivers and quarterbacks and even defensive backs that are a little bit more up to speed to where they need to be. So I think those guys usually kind of hit the ground running a little bit faster. So like early on in training camp, I want to see what Nazeeh Johnson looks like. Like I think even day one, Nazeeh Johnson is in a position coming back from injury. I think he was building a lot of hype last year to actually play like a very important role for the team, and that was while they still had L'Jarius Sneed to go along with Trent McDuffie. I'm not sure Nazeeh wasn't in position to be competing and or be the cornerback 3 ahead of a Jalen Watson and a Joshua Williams. So I'm curious to see what he looks like coming back from injury. He should be up to speed as soon as training camp starts. And then as training camp goes on, I think, like we mentioned it earlier, I just want to see what's happening at left tackle, which one of these young guys looks the most, ready for the moment, which one of these young guys seems to be handling the way Andy Heck runs the training camp practices are a little different. People always post clips of tackles losing, but you'll notice a towel on the ground and they lose beyond the towel and everybody freaks out about it. And that's not part of the drill. But which of these guys at left tackle is just looking up to the part, or is it time to not panic, but start to worry about the position? So I think those are those kind of 3 players are where I got my focus heading into it.
I love that because the first one you mentioned was not one of the 3 I came up with, and then as soon as you said it, I'm like, oh man, I should have thought about that, because it is absolutely somebody that I want to see go out there and perform in Nazeeh Johnson. The 3 that I came up with, and you also qualified your answer in talking about that they were passing camps and OTAs and things like that. But to see like in person for me, and there's different ways you can take this question, right, of the different things you want to watch. The first person that came to my mind was Kingsley Suamataia in pads. What does he look like when there's actual practices, when he has to block and protect the quarterback? And I know they can't hit the quarterback, but it's closer to a loss of what it would look like in a game than no pads on and you're just going one-on-one against a defensive lineman. And you mentioned like getting to the towel or getting that part. Like, okay, did they win? Did they not? Well, they'd have somebody to their right, to their left. What's the scheme on that particular play? Should he have gone inside shoulder? Like, is this what the technique was? I want to see that guy in pads because I have a decent idea of what Wanya Morris is. I want to see him to see where he's developed. But is Kingsley close to even challenging for the starting left tackle job? Because if he's getting embarrassed early in camp when the pads come on, that's a concern. We do know there's going to be a learning curve, but how steep is that curve? That's one of the things I wanted to see. And the other 2 were sort of just the sexy parts of the team, Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy. Like to see them out there in pads with Patrick and what the wide receivers look like. And also Xavier Worthy, just to see him with Patrick Mahomes one time, because we haven't seen that. We saw him at rookie camp, and he hasn't played since. And he hasn't been out there in a practice participating with Patrick Mahomes. So him as well those were the 3 I came up with. But Nazeeh is a great answer. I love that, to see what he looks like. But I'm really fascinated to see what Kingsley is going to look like when he has pads on and he's got to go out and actual block in a play and sustain and hold on to that block to create a hole or protect the quarterback, whatever it is.
That's a big part of it. It's so much of what they do in training camp is going to be very specific. So even just like as somebody who is watching on the outside, you go in person every day or just watch the clips on social media, it's really hard to get an understanding of what they are coaching on that particular play, that particular drill. So you do got to take it all with a grain of salt until you not even just hear what people say, but like how they act. If Kingsley starts out on the second team and by week 2 he's taken the majority of the first team reps, that matters. But if it's the reverse, or he doesn't really crack the first team reps and Wanya Morris doesn't just look like an absolute stud, like he doesn't clearly physically have taken this next step, then again, not time to panic, but it's time to start to wonder if maybe they could find some kind of move of a veteran to bring in before the season starts. Now, and then the other name, I should have said it too. Xavier Worthy is probably the biggest one because we haven't seen him.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him do anything. He's just been hanging out because of the hamstring. We have not got to see him really do anything since rookie camp for this team. And so, yeah, seeing him get out there, hopefully be healthy enough to actually practice, like hopefully this time off he's back and ready. Because I'll be honest, if we get to training camp and he's still missing practices or limited, especially for the same injury, I get a little worried, not long term, but at least for this first year, I start to get really worried about what his rookie season is going to look like.
Totally with you. Matt Lane is our guest, KC Sports Network, kcsn.substack.com, the KC Laboratory Podcast. Tell me about what you gleaned from looking at part 1 and part 2 of Shamari Connor, maybe the defensive secret weapon there at the website. You've got a couple of pieces up there, and it's really in-depth. And those that want to look at all the different things and ways that Shamari Connor can help out the defense and what he did last year, I implore you to go and get more of that in-depth piece and to look at it. But what did you glean from Shamari Connor, and how much of an impactful player do you think he can be this year as he'll be expected to step up and play more of a role?
Yeah, and so I almost put him for the guy I'm excited for at training camp. I was hoping we were going to talk about this a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, he's a guy that I'm excited to get to see too, because I'm curious how the Chiefs want to use him. We've heard the rumors already, like Trent McDuffie saying that maybe he plays more outside now, and then we know Najee Johnson has been in the slot in the past, but also played outside. So is there a path for Shamari Connor to be a primary or at least heavily in the rotation as a slot defender? And so that's kind of where that whole series started was, well, if this is true, who's going to play in the slot? How do they get their best 5 defenders out there? We've seen them do this in the past with Tyrann Mathieu, where they played essentially all in their Buffalo package, their heavy nickel package, 3 safeties. And so I don't think Connor is a Tyrann Mathieu type of man coverage player. Although he did play a lot of corner and slot at Virginia Tech. He's not that same type of coverage player, but what he does do well can be, really shown in the slot. His ability to blitz, his ability to play the run downhill, to be physical, and then he does have the ability to cover guys, especially out of zones and stuff from the slot. So I just see a lot of different ways they can use him, and it really sparked from just what does it look like if he plays in the slot more. So I went back and dug through a bunch of his reps so far, and in the slot is really where I wanted to start the focus. This past week we talked about him playing deep safety, which is definitely a lot more of a learning curve for him. He didn't play a ton last year until Brian Cook was hurt, and even then it was kind of when Mike Edwards wasn't when they went 3 safeties with him out there, he would play deep with Mike Edwards, rarely by himself. So it's something that he's still growing into as a deep safety, but I really think that they might find a way to not force, but purposely get him on the field as much as possible. And I think a big way they start that is by putting him in the slot, maybe rotating him in the box instead of Justin Reed in some situations, which we're going to talk about next week. So I have some high expectations for Shamari Connor.
No, I'm looking forward to it. It's another name that, I was going to mention as wanting to see, but wanted to talk to you about the different things that he provides and that in-depth piece. I would say that, for people out there that want a better view and the clips to go along with it, the explanation there with the video, to see all those different things, go and check that out. So should be a lot of fun. 2 weeks from today, Matt, we'll be talking about the quarterback and the rookies going up and showing to camp in St. Joe, and we'll be getting rolling from then. I know, man. I know it's been a long off season, and yet somehow it still feels like a short off season. It's weird how it's like it's 2 weeks away. Wow, it feels like it was just a Super Bowl. But in the middle of this, it's like, oh my God, it feels like it's such a long off season. What's going on here? But yeah, man, let's get it rolling, dude. 2 weeks. 2 weeks till they report.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm glad it's here. I guess in the future it might even be, starting up here in another week or two.
That's
although
true.
we wouldn't have had the mini camp break.
That's
but
right.
the whole thing might be starting up here in a week or two.
Or a week ago. Or like a
Yeah.
week ago.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
it could
I
be
guess
the
it
end
is.
of June.
Yeah, I guess it's just crazy how that might be.
Yeah.
Normally, off season's still slow, and it's still the off season. Don't get me wrong on that. This year seems to go a little bit faster. And I don't know if it's just me and where my personal life stages were right now, or if maybe the Super Bowl, having this amount of success, the back-to-back Super Bowls, you carry the celebration as a fan out a little bit longer. And I don't know. It just this offseason this dead period of NFL football didn't seem quite as long as it has in years past. So I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, I think it's probably the Eras tour of us following her throughout. That's probably what it is the reason why it felt like it just flew by. That's the only thing I can think of. Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Matt, you're the man as always, brother. Really appreciate the time, and we'll talk soon, man.
Thank you guys so much for having me on. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Absolutely, you too. There's Matt Lane. Great stuff from him, man. KCSN.substack.com. Again, go and check it out as he writes about potentially the Chiefs' secret weapon this year in being Shamari Connor, and a guy that, remember, they traded up to get him in the 4th round last year. They traded up in the draft to go and get him, and they used him in different ways last year. He started the first play of the season, Against the Lions, he was out there on the first play, like shockingly, like, oh my God, like this guy, they really like him. You know, he was supposed to be immediately a four-phase special teamer. Like at minimum, you're getting a stud special teamer, which he is. But then to go out there game number one and be like, oh, okay, this guy looks good, especially when Dave Merritt. Didn't Dave Merritt at one point say when Connor first got to rookie OTAs, he was like, "Oh, this guy sucks. This guy's got no chance. Like he is lost." And
it was something of that nature.
Yeah, I don't think he said sucks, but it was something of the nature to where the coach would be like, "Holy bleep, what do we have? What did we do by trading up for this guy?" And then he started the first game of the season. So yeah, I mean, he might be the guy that is that sort of secret weapon that allows them to put Trip McDuffie on the outside if he does that. And we'll see. But it's a really interesting piece. It's two different stories that he wrote about Shamari Connor. So if you're interested about that, then go and check that out.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty popular choice right now of Shamari Connor being the guy that takes that next evolution. Even though can he break out if he almost broke out last year as a rookie? I mean, the Chiefs have such a plethora of talent in the secondary, so many versatile pieces that allows each guy to almost go to their strengths.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can use all these different guys, and if there is a weakness, you can hide their weaknesses. When you have 3 to 4 safeties that I think all do something a little bit different, that all bring something to the table. When you have cornerbacks, you can mix and match, and some can get after the quarterback from the slot, like Trent McDuffie, and it just makes the Chiefs defense and Spag's life so much easier. It makes the players' lives easier too. We talk all the time about development and all this stuff too, but I think part of it is they know how to draft guys for their strengths that also doesn't put them in spots where they will not succeed. We talk all the time about putting guys in positions to succeed, but just as important is putting them in situations where they can't fail.
Yeah.
You don't put them in a weakness situation. So I think it's a really good conversation there.
What was it Coach K or Nick Saban? It might have been Nick Saban that said it, that you don't practice until you get it right. You practice until you don't get it wrong. Which is a great line, by the way. I think it was Nick Saban that said it. Some amazing coach said that.
Coach K would have told you he said it 50 times, so you would remember if it was
Coach K would have told you in sort of a scolding manner of telling you how you failed in whatever you happened to do.
What would Boeheim say? What would Jim Boeheim say?
He would be picking his nose while he did it. He would be going and grabbing.
I love Lebo just walking by, waiting for us to get off of this conversation
so we can have some Rosedale
barbecue.
Let's hear before we do that. Let's hear from Dave Merritt.
I was gonna say I found it. Ron Kopp over at Arrowhead Pride has the article here. In OTAs, I was like, this guy stinks. He can't go in the slot. Merritt recalled with a laugh. So yeah,
that's right. Stinks. I thought it sucks, stinks. It's synonymous, right?
Then all of a sudden he started climbing. I think it was once we started putting him in the game. He started feeling comfortable in the first part of the preseason games.
Yeah.
And you started seeing him make some explosive moves and skills.
Yeah. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back. I want to continue talking some Chiefs on the other side of the break. Breakout players. NFL.com, Bucky Brooks. I don't know if you saw this article or not. We were going to bring it up yesterday, ran out of time. How do you get everything in 4 hours? It's tough. But Bucky Brooks has his starting defensive unit of breakout players, one breakout player at each position. And we'll talk about if any Chiefs showed up in that. Obviously they did, or we wouldn't really talk about it. So we'll do that. And then a player turning down an offer to increase his marketability and get to know more of him, in which I think was a smart move. We'll get into that next. Tomorrow we're going to be at Rosedale. 90th anniversary for Rosedale opening. 1934, so we're going to have a full slab of ribs for $19.34 tomorrow. So, the old, one of the long-standing questions that we've had about what to eat on July 4th. Is it hamburgers, hot dogs? Is it barbecue, ribs, whatever? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes.
Vegetarian hot dogs, of course. Don't forget.
Whatever you want to do. I mean, if you want to do the Impossible Burgers, Impossible Dogs.
Impossible Dogs, my bad.
Like Joey Chestnut, then that's perfectly fine, too.
But that's on you.
That's on you. That's exactly right. It would be impossible for me to think that I would do that. No, not happening. I'm going to have some hot dogs. I'm going to have some hamburgers. I'm going to have some barbecue. And you know what? Stop by Rosedale tomorrow. Get your slab or slabs for your barbecue, your cookout, grilling out. You're hanging out with the friends in whatever neighborhood or family, whatever it might be. So, yeah, $19.34 for the full slab there at Rosedale. We'll be there tomorrow. And they are here today with some food, and it is dynamite.
I have,
so good.
Now I need a nap. I need a nap now. Well, because I wasn't going to not eat all of that. Lebo's walking by again. He missed it. He's so mad right now. He's so mad he missed out on this.
Fact or fiction, he was walking by stalking us to see when we were done talking so he can come in and eat, and then we went to break, and he did something else, and now he's stalking us again. Yeah. That's a fact.
Fact.
It is absolutely a fact. So let's get into a couple of and Drake is doing the same thing now. Drake is just
let him in.
in.
I feel like we should just let him in.
Like at a zoo right now. People are like, kids, don't hit the glass. Please don't tap on the glass. Kids, stop. Kids, all you're going to do is piss off the baboons.
That's
all you're
going
to do.
Odell Beckham feels now, Like he said, there's animals in the zoo.
That's right, man.
Sometimes.
Man in the arena. It's what we're man in the arena right now. Only the arena is Rosedale. We're just the man next to the arena. So they care about the Rosedale, not
we're
us.
Troy Brown or one of those other non-man in the arenas.
Yes, that's right. We are MVS.
There you
We're
go.
here. We're sort of taking part to a degree, but the star is Rosedale. That's what we are. How about MVS, by the way, total aside, letting the cat out of the bag that Aaron Rodgers went to Egypt on his
it's him?
pre-planned thing. Yeah, MVS, because he had worked out with Aaron Rodgers and did the and then he was interviewed on a podcast or whatever, and he had mentioned that Aaron Rodgers went to Egypt.
I think it was someone like Florio tweeted that he had been to Egypt. I didn't know where the information.
Yeah, it was MVS that
Wow.
let the cat out of the bag. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers cares or not. It was probably going to come out eventually at some point when he talked with McAfee or something.
Yeah, I was going to say he was mad that he didn't get to say.
That's exactly right. Yeah, but you know what? Egypt pre-planned. I mean, there was nothing you could do. There's no way you could re-plan a trip to Egypt.
I have to go find. Well, now
Egypt doesn't. It's not there anymore, right? Wasn't it closing?
We can go reverse
Cairo might be
investigate
under.
now and see what was going on in Egypt during that time.
Well, it was they were closing their doors to Egypt. It was you get in then, or you could never get into Egypt again.
They were taking down the pyramids?
Yeah, exactly right. It was going out of business sale. The pyramids were being taken down.
Did he buy
they
one
were
of the
piecing them
pyramids?
off.
Buy one block, get the second one half off.
They were piecing them off for profit. They were auctioning everything off. If you didn't go to Egypt, then you can never go back.
If you buy one Great Pyramid, I think you get the other one.
But wait, there's more. If you order now, $19.34.
You get a flashlight for your book.
For $19.34, we're going to throw in a slab of ribs at Rosedale. For $19.34. But wait, there's more. You can see Sterling tomorrow while we're there at the show.
Whammy.
That's right. So,
dude, yes. Come see me tomorrow.
Yeah.
Buy me a beer.
Or an RC. Buy me an RC. Or I'll buy you an RC. How about that? Me and my RC. Bucky Brooks had his breakout players, all breakout team on defense. Now, clearly I'm bringing this up because there's a Chiefs player. Have you seen this story yet, Sterling?
No, I like to be surprised.
Dylan, have you seen this story? Okay, good. So, obviously there is a Chiefs player in the all breakout team on defense. So I ask you guys, who is the defensive player for the all breakout team?
Well, I don't think it can be Chamari Connor because I think he already broke out. So.
George Karlaftis.
It's not George Karlaftis. The edges are Kayvon Thibodeau and Lucas Van Ness for the Packers.
Well, I guess, but Kayvon kind of broke out too. So I guess it depends on how they have this breakdown.
Says after amassing 11.5 sacks in his second season, Thibodeau could become the next elite pass rusher to flourish in the Big Apple. 6'5".
I was going to say 11.5 sacks sure feels like a breakout to me.
Havoc.
But,
he's now lining up across from Brian Burns, so now he'll have less attention on him.
Yeah,
with Dexter Lawrence in the middle. So now he's saying like, okay, this guy could be Pro Bowl.
I'll go Josh Williams.
Dylan, want to take another guess?
Seems like he's a year behind a little bit with the Kayvon Thibodeau. Maybe he's saying Trent McDuffie.
Joshua Williams.
Oh wow, nice.
Joshua Williams.
Nice.
Here's what he wrote.
I might be him.
Might be him. To me, it's really surprising. Like Joshua Williams is not somebody that I would have pegged for a breakout candidate. When Joey Porter Jr., Andre Sisco with the Jags, who's gotten plenty of run, Christian Gonzalez.
There's the kid in Houston, the 3 overall pick, Derek Stingley Jr.
Stingley Jr. Yep.
Jeff Okudah.
So yeah, that was in Detroit now. But he writes here about Joshua Williams. Perhaps the Chiefs were willing to move on from L'Jarius Sneed due to Williams' potential as a sticky cover corner in a man-heavy scheme. Since his arrival as a 4th-round pick out of Fayetteville State in 2022, Williams' growth has raised eyebrows around the league, with scouts and executives appreciating the small school standouts game. As an instinctive playmaker with exceptional length, Williams has earned rave reviews for his work as a part-time player in Kansas City's defensive backfield. He's not afraid of the bright lights and the big stage, as evidenced by his play as a young defender on back-to-back Super Bowl champs. With more opportunity to showcase his talents against elite receivers in the AFC, Williams could emerge as a worthy complement to Trent McDuffie on the perimeter. So there are clearly different levels of breakout. So Kayvon Thibodeau is a different level of breakout than Joshua Williams, right? Because Kayvon Thibodeau feels like a breakout level on the degree of maybe Trent McDuffie, because Thibodeau just had 11.5 sacks, and it felt like this was his breakout year. But he's saying, okay, no, Thibodeau, he's a breakout that he could be like a havoc-wreaking edge rusher. Well, that would be, if you're thinking of a Chiefs player, it'd be Trent McDuffie. Like, okay, now it's his chance. Like, he was an All-Pro last year as a slot, but without L'Jarius Sneed, does he then travel? Does he become a guy that you're viewed as the top cornerback, one of the top cornerbacks in the league?
I almost think he was, though. When you're All-Pro, it's hard to...
Right, and I know why they wouldn't go with Trent McDuffie, but from the standpoint of Kayvon Thibodeau, it'd be like, okay, who would match that criteria for the Chiefs? It'd be McDuffie. But obviously Joshua Williams is not the criteria he's using that he used with a couple of others. So, again, it's all in one person's eyes as to what they view. Just as when I asked Matt Lane, a question that, we can get into, at some point over the next couple of weeks, but like, the players you're most looking forward to watching at training camp. You're most looking forward to seeing, whether that be in person or with pads on, at training camp. And his first one that he came up with and said Najee Johnson, which is a great answer. He said he didn't want to mention Shamari Connor because we were going to talk about Shamari Connor more in depth with this piece. But yeah, so it's like, who are those guys? And Joshua Williams is not somebody that I would have picked out as like, this is going to be a breakout player. I might have said Shamari Connor on that level of like when you're talking about, because Joshua Williams and Shamari Connor were sort of on the same level of play last year.
What's funny is I'm the outlier probably because I've been talking about Josh Williams a good amount. Yeah. I love the size. I actually have been very impressed with overall the consistency of Joshua Williams. Like we were laughing about how, well, Jalen Watson's going to be the consistent guy while Williams will have the ups and downs, and it's kind of been flipped, but we still have the same viewpoint because of what they're projected to be coming out of college, that we still have that same mindset. It's kind of like how Trevor Lawrence has to be elite because he was 1-1, right? Mm-hmm. Williams has been pretty darn consistent. I've been a huge proponent of Williams, and we'll see if maybe the Chiefs playing him, the amount they've played him, is to hide him. As I was talking about earlier, how you can put him in a place to succeed. Maybe with a larger sample size, he'll get exposed. But I don't think that. Like I've been pretty in the camp that Williams will break out this year. Williams probably won't be a L'Jarius Sneed type, but I could see Williams having a really damn good year and being the next in line as, wow, the Chiefs just found another Pro Bowl type cornerback. Not all pro, but like a guy you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, that guy is locked down.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a,
Charvarius Ward style in Kansas City. Because I think Charvarius Ward took another step when he went to San Fran, right?
Yeah.
I think he really did. If you're talking like the second year, Charvarius Ward in Kansas City, I could see that with Williams.
The other ones, if people are wondering, that Bucky Brooks has for his entire team. So we mentioned Kayvon Thibodeau and Lucas Van Ness as the edge rushers. Defensive tackle Keanu Bitton, Pittsburgh Steelers, second rounder last year. Jalen Carter. He's ultra talented defensive lineman. Linebackers, Trenton Simpson, filling in for now Patrick Queen, leaving. So he's got him as a breakout, filling in that role. How about this? Local connection, Devin Lloyd for the Jags.
Nice.
For the Jags as a breakout player. And then I mentioned Christian Gonzalez, Joshua Williams at cornerback, Joey Porter Jr., and then Jair Brown at safety for the 49ers, and Andre Sisco for the Jags, who we've seen here in Kansas City with his cheap shots that he's laid on some of the Chiefs.
Christian Gonzalez is interesting because he was so damn good, and then he got injured. Mm-hmm. I think we all knew when he went to the Patriots, we go, this could not have been better for the time Bill. But if you're looking for a guy who's going to be the next Sauce Gardner type of guy, it's Christian Gonzalez.
He's got elite ability. Does he grow into an elite player? Yeah, is the question. I think he can, but he certainly has elite ability that's there. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. I do want to get into the player that has turned down an opportunity to be more marketable, and I think it's the right move. We'll do that. We got a short segment, but I'll still get into that next. exposure, marketability, and I think it was actually the right move. You see, Travis Kelce said that he was approached to be on the Netflix wide receiver documentary, and he turned it down. He said no thank you. He didn't want to be a part of it. Because we were wondering, like, okay, how many players, we talked about the players that they chose, the wide receivers, and then George Kittle at tight end. And I'm like, well, we didn't know if they would have even approached Kelce because Mahomes last year. No, Kelce was one of the first ones they approached. And he said, no, thank you. He said, you know what, kind of done with the reality stuff. I got enough going on in my life. And I think there's an element of like, hey, getting exposure. And I think there's an element of oversaturation.
Well, someone already caught Kelce. He's already been caught.
Oh, he's in his being caught era. Les Norman in studio with us here on Sports Radio 810. Les, man, it is so glad to see you.
I'm so glad to see you guys. It was like the dream I always have. I'm coming in here late because I was talking to Adam down the hall.
That's great.
You guys told me it was a short segment. It's that dream that I'm back in the big leagues and I'm in the lineup, which never happened in my short 2-season stint. And the game started without me. I was late, so they put somebody else in. I'm like, oh my gosh,
have
it's
you
coming
had that
to life.
dream?
Oh, it's recurring. It's
Really?
like once every 3 months.
Okay,
I
so
might have some
what do you think that means?
I got some unresolved issues, Sterling. I don't know, man.
Is that have you found that other players in Major League Baseball or professional sports have had, that type of dream?
I think different versions of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Luckily, it's never the running out there in your jock strap or without clothes on, because there literally have been guys that have told me that, yeah, I keep having that dream, so I'm
Dude,
not having to deal with that.
I would do that. I would just do it.
I would not.
You wouldn't even need to be dared. You would do it just because you want to do
It'd
it.
be funny. Yeah, it's like the jackass guy that always is wearing just like the
party
the
boy.
Party boy. Yeah, that's
Yeah. I've had the dream where it's around this show and it's like 1:30. And I realize it's already 1:30, and the show started. I'm checking my phone. I'm like, why isn't anybody calling me?
Yeah.
Oh my God, they just found somebody else, and they didn't even notify me to let me know, and nobody noticed a thing.
Yeah. I think what happens is
depressing.
I know, right?
It was
still dealing with that one.
In '96, it was every day because we were not good, and every day just hoping that I'd be in the lineup that day, and just every day for a full 162 games. Can I be in the lineup today? Can I be in the lineup today? And there might have been like 3 games the whole year where that answer was yes, but usually I knew it in advance. So maybe it's that. I don't know. But I still sleep easy. It's not like a big stressor.
But Les, how's that make you feel?
Like I'm not paying you for this session. That's how it makes me feel.
Like you are not qualified to ask me how that feels, and even if I were to tell you, you wouldn't know how to analyze that.
Yeah, no, it's all good, man. I'm just I am so happy to be in studio with you guys, and yeah.
Is it us or the meat?
Hey, I've been always happy to be in here. That was a bonus. I didn't even know, because when I walked down the hall here and I wasn't paying attention. I just saw you guys, and I went in the production booth with Dylan, and we were just talking real quick. I'm like, oh wait a minute,
Got some Rosedale here.
Wow, what in the wide world of barbecue sports is going on
here? What in the wide world of sports is going on here? When you asked to be in the lineup, did Baboon ever be like, you know what? I got you today, Les.
I never asked him.
Okay.
I never hey, Coach, can I please play? Because I'm not 8. So no, I didn't.
I was about to say that. Can I be second base? Yeah. Guys, if you're asking what position you're going to play, you're not going to play that position, okay? Right. Listen to the coach. He'll tell you what position you're going to play.
That's great. Yeah. As a rookie, it was be seen and not heard, and even sometimes don't be seen. So I never asked that. And just you sit quietly and you get ready. And Mike McFarland always told me, stay ready. Even if it's only going to be one game, stay ready. Yeah. And so that's what I always try to do. So yeah, the dream, the older I get and the more life experience, I have the dream less and less. So now it might be once every 8 months, or it used to be like once every 3 months. But either way, I wake up and just laugh.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome now. Probably not at the time. Awesome. When I lived in Wyoming for 3 months, that felt like 2 years. I was on the air at 4 a.m, and so I would be getting up at 3 a.m. Is when the alarm would go off to try to be at the station by 4 for our first sports report. And I usually went to bed about 8 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night, or tried to. So I got home from work one day, and I was extra tired, so I'm like, I'm going to take a nap. And I take a nap, and the next thing I know, I wake up, and I look at the clock, and it's 5:30. And I'm like, holy bleep. Oopsies. I just slept for 14 hours or so. This is absurd. So I get up, quickest shower ever, leave the house, hair's still wet, get in the car, driving to work, and I'm like, God, there's way too many cars on the road. It's 5:30 at night in the afternoon. It's 5:30 in the afternoon. I thought it was the next one because it was dark outside.
Yeah.
So I thought it was the next morning. I thought I'd slept that long. The first thing I thought when I saw the time was that it must have been the next morning.
I've heard people that do that, or people that mess with other people that like to sleep. Like, dude, you missed class. It's like, and it's actually not that time.
My circadian rhythm was so thrown off by having to get up. I don't know how like Steven and the boys get up. Like Jake gets up at like 2 in the morning.
Yeah,
to go and run 10 miles every day. Like
Wait,
I don't know. Yeah, he runs like 10 miles every day before like 3 in the morning.
Go get him.
Yeah, and so I don't know how he does it because I had to get up at 3 in the morning and my entire schedule, calendar, rhythm, everything was off to where I slept for like 3 hours and I thought I slept for 15.
You know what's a fun prank that I do on people?
What's that?
Which I've done before. If anyone has like an Apple or like one of those like Amazon, Alexa, you can set like alarms on it.
Mm-hmm.
If they're at the room, you set alarm for like 3 a.m. It's very funny because then they wake up just like, what is going on? It's kind of like a...
I would just look at it and go, oh, it's only 3? Oh, I'll just reset the alarm for...
I thought it was funny. I did
when
it.
I get up.
I did it to my dad, and he couldn't figure out how to turn off the Apple alarm for
I see what you're saying.
and it was just like, what is happening?
See, to me, it'd be great news. I'm like, oh, heck yeah, I still got 2.5 hours to sleep. Beautiful.
I have been known to set an alarm 2 hours before I need to get up on a night where like I'm stressed or something, or I got a presentation, a speaking engagement that I got to do. And so if I got to get up at 5, I'll set my alarm for 3 just so I can have like, yes, 2 more hours, because I hate waking up without the alarm. Like okay, I know I got to get up, but how much sleep do I have left? And you set the alarm for 6 a.m. and you look and it's 5:58. You're like, dang it!
No.
Come on!
So I read somewhere in a study, actually, it wasn't 2 hours, because you're right, it does feel so much better when it's 2 hours than this, what I'm about to say. They said to set a very annoying sounding alarm like 10 to 30 minutes before you actually have to get up, and then a relaxing one when you have to get up, because of what you're saying, where you are kind of awoken and you're freaking out, like you think it's, oh, I'm an hour late or whatever, and you realize you're not. It's a much more relaxing 30-minute or whatever, 10 minutes left of sleep when you wake up and you're more charged up with the slow and like soft alarm.
The only way I could do it when I lived there was I had to set a really annoying alarm across the room, so I had to get out of bed
Yeah, I have one
to
of
go
those,
and turn it off. That's the only way. That way I knew I wouldn't press the wrong button and then wake up at 5:30, and be late for work. It's one of the things I am most jealous of people in life are the people that when their eyes open, they're up. My brother, it's so annoying.
Wow.
So annoying. Like
Never.
4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, up, ready to go, attack the day. My son is the same way. My son's eyes open and he's ready to go. And I'm like, dude, I'm very jealous of you because I think you're going to be so much more successful by being able to just do that, by get up and say, all right, let's start the day.
Yeah.
Like Iggy Pop sang about it.
Dude, it's hard,
Lust
man.
for life. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, lust for life.
I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that, but I simply
I'm with
can't.
you though. I do the alarm that's like the old school alarm that goes, like that rings back and forth.
The old cartoon one that would
I
bounce
have
around.
that's what I have. And I have to put it on top of like somewhere else in the house, or else I will sleep through it.
They actually make like a pad that you have to put your feet on to turn off an alarm, so you can set that like wherever you want.
Wow.
So they make those too.
Yeah, I would.
And
probably,
everyone who's like 60 and older goes kids these days.
if I was by myself though, I might just find a way to
That's
sleep
almost
through it.
me, buddy.
Just toss a book.
That's why I said 60. I
Kept me under it. I appreciate it.
I know you're good. You're
Yeah.
considered one of the kids.
There
so,
you go.
yeah.
I used to be able to sleep through anything because for 2 years I lived in the fraternity house above the dance floor.
Yeah.
And I could just sleep through whatever. It didn't matter. Like I would be asleep and wake up the next morning. Everybody's like, "You don't remember you didn't hear that?" No, I didn't hear that. What happened? Well, the whole house collapsed. It collapsed around you. It was just one bed sitting there left, and that was yours.
Didn't hit me.
Didn't hit me, and I'm perfectly fine. Les Norman is our guest. All right, Les. We had a conversation last week, and it was coming off the one win against the Marlins.
Mm-hmm.
They had just got swept by the Rangers. They were playing baseball in which they were 3-11 over their last 14 games.
Bad road trip.
And they're getting ready to start a road trip that they played better at home. And hey, they beat the Marlins 4-1. Reagans goes out there and deals, and they get 3 home runs. Are you feeling better about this team? And so we had a fun, more enjoyable conversation. Luckily, we did not talk on a Wednesday because that would have been a very rough conversation because they lost that game on Tuesday. Since that Tuesday game, they've gone 4-1 these 5 games. They took 3 of 4 from the Guardians. The adage about the momentum, if it exists or not. But these last 5 games for the Royals, how big is that for them to come off a Tuesday loss to the Marlins when they should have won that game, and they blew it, and they didn't score enough runs, and Seth Lugo was brilliant. But then to respond by, winning four of five, and then getting a day off. How big is that for this team?
It's absolutely huge. Look at the wild card race right now. Minnesota's jumped back over you. They're a game ahead. You're contending with the Yankees and the Orioles and the Red Sox, and there's a lot of scenarios going on out there right now, and there's still a whole half of a season to play out. And so they've played well enough that and raised our expectations a little bit. Okay, now we believe and see that you're good enough to make it into the wild card, and therefore these momentum swings matter. The teams that you need to beat matter. They're getting ready to head to Colorado. Mm-hmm. If they don't win that series, you think it's just a few games, but in the end, if you miss the wild card by one game, what are two series you might think back on? A's for sure in Oakland, and if they don't win the series in Colorado because they're the worst team in the National League.
What, 29-55?
Yeah, they're 26 games under 500. And so,
bad.
Every team's a big league team. I'm not saying you're going to sweep them, but that's a series that you need to win, and you have to go back and point that. And so based on what they've shown us, we now believe it's a legitimate contender, at least as far as the wild card. And remember, in the playoffs, all you got to do is get in and be hot at the right time. That's all you got to do. And so the momentum swings are important. You come off a bad road trip, you darn well better win 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 5 in those first few games at home to get the ship righted. And so I would be comfortable for them to get back to 10 over as they get a little bit more down the road and have those few days off of the All-Star break. That would make me feel a little bit better. I think that most teams will say when they're winning consistently and they're in the lead, we don't like the All-Star break, we need the rest, but we don't want to lose that momentum. I think this one will be good for the Royals to kind of get their mind right and rest and then come back in and start to get after it. So momentum, I think, is key, especially for this team.
Momentum is something that is discussed often around sports, especially in today's analytics and advanced metrics and things like that, and whether people believe in it or not. I don't know how much I believe in momentum as to like what it means, but I think I'm more passionate in the confidence of like, okay, you're breaking out of a slump. Like, what's momentum? Was it would the Royals have won 3 or 4 against the Guardians if Vinny Pasquantino strikes out in the 8th inning after Bobby Witt triples on Wednesday when they're trailing 1-0, and then they had 7 straight guys reach with 2 outs when Bobby tripled? If Bobby triples and Vinny pops up and they don't score a run, would they have won 3 or 4 against the Guardians? I don't think so. But there was something about that 8th inning when it wasn't just, hey, some guys hit home runs. It was 7 straight guys that went up there with professional at-bats, got on base, drove the baseball, saw it land on green grass, rallying, exhaling, weight off shoulders, right? All of that. And then they go in and they beat the Guardians 3 out of 4 with great starting pitching, right? Mm-hmm. And the bullpen was really good. It wasn't like they were, beating teams 10-8 or something like that. But how much momentum exists or not, I sort of view it as a, feeling that a team overall has of if you feel like you're playing good baseball or not, that's what you take up to the plate or to the field or to the mound, as opposed to the exact opposite, whether that's called momentum or not. That's the way sort of I've always felt with sports and baseball, momentum's only as good as your next day's starting pitcher. Well, if that next day's starting pitcher is really good, but you are seeing the ball well, that matters, as opposed to that pitcher's really good and you're not seeing the ball well. Well, now he's out there just dealing.
Here's why I absolutely 100% believe in momentum. Not just because I played, but at some point in your guys' life, you were athletes. You're still athletes. If you play golf, if you coach your kid, if you play basketball,
my Friday night softball league.
There you go. Yeah. So we're all athletes to some level, and the reason why I believe in momentum, first of all, I'll say this: think of if Scotty Scheffler hadn't won a single tournament all year, except let's talk about the tournament where he gets arrested, right? And he gets arrested and then comes back and look at how well he did in the tournament, right? Now, I think that if he wouldn't have won all those tournaments or wouldn't have been in the top 2, 3 going up to that point and had the incredible year, do you think he still would have had the same focus? Maybe because he's Scotty Scheffler, but because he's now chasing a victory that hasn't happened yet, in his mind, maybe there's a lack of confidence. Maybe there's I haven't been in this position yet this year. There's not been a been there, done that. So there's no momentum to help him focus, right? But because he's Scotty Scheffler and because he's in every freaking tournament that he enters in almost, and he's superhuman, even getting arrested and being national news and your mugshot in a jumpsuit is, he's a brand new father, and that's his. I mean, they're going to joke around about that at his kid's wedding. Someone's going to post that at the wedding down the road. But
remember when you were 2 weeks old?
Yeah, and your dad was a jailbird?
Your 2-week birthday, your dad's in jail.
So I really believe that there's a momentum thing that goes on there. So when I was driving in today, I was listening to this radio show with a couple of really good guys on the show, and they were talking about it.
I think
it's there's some guy that leads in with Jason Anderson, and you are in the zone. That one,
I'll check it out.
Sterling, you were talking about the U.S. team, and we were talking about soccer and how it's sad. It's a sad state of affairs on the world level of soccer where you have a team that is playing for a draw.
Yeah.
I mean, what does that tell you? I was thinking about it as you said that. I'm like, man, that's kind of true in every sport. And the teams that are good are not expecting to. If we go 2-2 against Cleveland because they're in first place, that's a victory. That's why I believe in momentum, because if your mindset is, well, just 2-2, there's no momentum to ride. There's no focus. There's no pressure. There's no sense of urgency, not like undue pressure, but like we got to get after it and win this thing. So on the Scheffler side, and then on that like the draw side, or let's go ahead and split, it can't be that mindset. And so early on, if you're busting it to win and you're having high expectations for yourself, you tend to probably win more games. And then when you have a bad road trip like they did, now you got to come back and win a game or two. You take 3 out of 4 from the Guardians. Now you have that momentum. That's why I believe in momentum, because it gives you something to play for. You don't settle for things, and then your fan base doesn't give up on you.
Yeah, and that was part of the frustrating aspect of when they were struggling and the month of June and going 3-11 is because there was the waiting for this team to collapse group that when they played rough baseball, it was, 15 games over 500. That was the mirage. This is the team. These 14
Those people
games,
meet in dungeons every week.
These 14 games, that's who they really are.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be a collapse the rest of the way. And especially after that Tuesday game against the Marlins when Lugo comes out of the game after 87 pitches and Carlos Hernandez, for some reason, is the choice to go in there. And they end up losing that game. And how massive Wednesday was. And for them to go and get that win on Wednesday against Miami, to score those 5 runs in the 8th inning. I've said it a couple times, and I've asked different people about it. I believe it to be true, but I'll get your thoughts on it as a former player. Was the 8th inning on Wednesday potentially, or just was it the most important inning of the season so far?
One of many important innings, but again, you talk about momentum. When you're moving forward and you know you're in a playoff race, those are things that stick in your mind. My wife said a long time ago, it had probably been 5-6 years after I'd retired, and I was talking baseball with people, and she'd be in those conversations, and I said, one time I had this at bat when I was in A-ball, and I was in South Bend, Indiana, and it was back when Ray Durham was playing second base for that team, and we were facing James Baldwin, who also pitched for the White Sox, blah, blah, blah. And I remember how he set me up. She's like, how in the world do you remember that? You can't take out the trash or load the dishwasher, but you can remember 25 years ago in an at-bat and how you fouled off a tough pitch or how he got you or something like that. Athletes remember, and especially baseball players, those are moments that are frozen in time. And so you absolutely will go back, and that gives you hope. It brings your focus back. It's that momentum thing we talked about. It just gives you faith in your teammates. And so you have to go back and remember those times and bookmark those. I'm sure you guys have, but I'm sure you've watched The Office before, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so there's the episode where Jim and Pam are getting married, and she tears her veil, and he cuts his own tie. And she pretends to hold up a camera and goes, click. And that's the thing, like, I will never forget that. What a memory that is. That's what you have to do, but you just have to do it with the 8th inning of that game. And then maybe 2 weeks ago, there's that inning in that game, and your at bat that you fouled that many pitches off, so you don't feel like you're defeated when the guy comes in and he's got a .9 ERA and you're halfway through the season kind of thing. And so absolutely, you got to think back and have those photographic memory and moments that gives you the impetus to move forward.
I just wonder what the mindset of the Royals would be. Like, I don't want to experience the world where they don't have that 8th inning against the Marlins and to imagine and to know what the conversation would be. But I am curious if the Royals, what their record would have been against the Guardians in those 4 games if they don't get the 5 runs in the 8th inning, if they just lose 1-0 after losing 2-1 the night before, and now you're getting ready to face the Guardians, who are one of the hottest teams in baseball. They just had a 7-game losing streak snapped to the Orioles, but now they're the first-place team, best team in baseball, and you can't score a run. And, you're scoring 1 run a night. You've been shut out 3 times in your last 10 games.
Yeah.
And now you got the Guardians coming into town. Like, do they take 3 or 4? Or was that 8th inning something that they just snapped back into, okay, this is how we play ball. This is what we've been doing in the month of April and May to get 15 games over 500. Let's get back to doing that, guys. All right, just pass the baton. Keep the line moving.
We talk about sports and we talk about life. And one of the things that I will always teach in life and in leadership and in sports as well, good things and bad things happen in life. It makes you happy and it makes you sad. It's the outer influences that kind of hit you and like, okay, that made me happy. I got good news today. That made me sad. I got bad news today, or it just wasn't my best day. But joy is a choice. You can have something bad but have a good perspective. You know what I mean? And so if you let a long season like a Major League Baseball season, if you're really super high in the highs, but then you wallow in the lows, it's not going to make a joyful time when it's a must-win or you believe you can come back or something like that. So if you're going to play joyfully, you're going to probably have more successes and you're going to ride more momentum and your focus is going to be better. But if you're just like, oh, man, I just remember the last time, it's that droopy dog. What am I doing here? It's that kind of thing where if you expect to fail, 99 out of 100 times you're going to fail. And that's not the mindset you have to have. And so 8th innings like the other day, again, are huge, and you have to keep that memory in your mind.
Well, I struggle with this a lot in sort of the life part of it, in what you're talking about there. And I think about...
I feel the shift.
No, I think about, like, something
Can't stop Debbie Downer.
No, like something as simple as, like, driving into work.
Yeah.
Or, like, if you're having a good day or a bad day. And, like, okay, what's my perspective on this situation that happened? And I struggle with this. But what I have found, and even with the knowledge of knowing this, it's still difficult to enact in real time, that if I'm in a better mood and I'm driving, the guy that may seem like the AH, that I just sort of let it roll off like water on a duck's back, the rest of the drive seems to be like, oh, it was all good. Oh, I made the green light. Oh, hey, there was nobody. But the AH that then I'm mad at and I'm pissed about that guy doing that, well, then the next person is the AH, and then that, and of course I hit the red light here, and I know this, right? I know it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that I immediately be like, oh, no, I'm just going to let it go. Like, it just sort of, sometimes it just depends on the day.
It's work,
right?
man. It's not like it doesn't come naturally.
Yeah. But I'm it's odd because I'm aware of those things. I'm aware that if it's like, dude, if it's just like not that big of a deal, man, you're not late. What's the point of getting? But it's just a point. Like that guy, he just doesn't know what is she like? That sort of aspect that it just. I fight it. Yeah. I fight it, and there's so
we
much.
all do, man.
There's so much of me that's just like, well, what does that even? Because my wife is like, well, what does it even matter? It matters. It matters, okay? Because that's not how you're supposed to treat that particular four-way like this. And then they didn't.
So you're all about the justice of situations, man.
It really is, man.
Yeah.
It's really like just, and I have found though that when the first thing that happens, if it's just like, who cares? I'm in a better mood. Like, for whatever reason, the rest of that drive seems like, oh, I did make that green light. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, I didn't get stuff. Oh, no, everybody was cool on the road.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I think it's a mindset sort of like what you create, because if you're just cool, whatever, the car that gets in front of you didn't cut you off. They were just changing lanes. If you're mad, the car that got in front of you clearly cut you off. And why didn't you use your turn signal? Just let me know, and I'll let you in. I'm not going to be a jerk. Just use your turn signal so I know that that's where you're going.
Well, BMWs don't come with turn signals, so it's wild.
Arm out the side, L-shape. Yeah.
That's right.
Just real quick, I'll say this. I have not always done a good job of this. I used to just... Everything was the Debbie Downer type that you said, and that was a great skit, by the way. I love that, Rachel Dratch. That's crazy. But a friend, this is like 20 years ago, mentor of mine said, hey, wake up in the morning, and one of the first things you do is think about, and it was part of my prayer time as well, what are you thankful for? Because we can always find something that we want better in our life. We always can.
Yeah.
But what are you thankful for? And so I started doing that as a practice. And if I can only think of one thing that day, fine. Even though there's always more than one, then you stick with that. But this is what I'm thankful for, and I found that over a short period of time, that reset my mind. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say I don't have bad days, and I might, when I'm alone, say words that I have created in my own vocabulary, with the AHs you're talking about. But again, what it comes down to is that when the more thankful I am, and especially we all know, we've talked about the season of life I'm in right now, how thankful I am. I'm late, but obviously you might be on your way to the hospital. Go if you're going to cut me off, as long as I'm not in an accident, just go, man. I put myself in a mindset. Look, they might be struggling with something might be going on. You go do your thing. I'm still going to be thankful. But again, Jason, we all know it takes work. It's easier said than done. But when I practice thankfulness, it's a little bit easier.
Yeah.
You're talking to a guy who I watched almost get T-boned out of work one day, and we had a conversation about just bad driving.
Oh, yeah, that's a new car for you too. I forgot about that.
If I was honestly, if I didn't stop, I think I would have survived because I'm in the Expedition.
Sure.
But if I was in the Accord, that was literally 2 days before.
You would have been an accordion.
Yeah, it was the first day I drove to work.
You know what you're grateful for?
What's that?
Having a larger, safer car.
Well,
boom. If you get hit, that's what you're grateful for.
That's right.
Actually, what I'm thankful for is the car that was taking a right at, 123rd Street up there by the Sonic?
21st, I think.
121st Street? Yeah, 121st Street by the Sonic and the Costco.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
That's there. I'm thankful for the car that was going north on Metcalf that was taking a right, because those cars typically don't stop and look when they have a red light.
Right.
So when I'm going straight, which I do every day going home, I go straight. I typically have to slow down and wait for them to look or go.
Sure.
And because I was going and the car had started to turn right, I was hitting my brakes, which allowed me to see the truck that was plowing 50 miles an hour fly right. And I slammed on my brakes. It probably missed my truck by like 2 feet. And I see him fly by, phone right in front of his face, staring at his phone. And the scariest thing was taking a right, coming what was the opposite way on 121st. Taking a right onto Metcalf was a minivan, and it would have just plowed right into the driver's side of that minivan. And she swerves out of the way and goes all the way up on the curve to the right, because people saw this truck. And it wasn't until halfway to the next light you see the brake lights come on. And I don't know that they ever even realized that they went through, because it took that long for the brake lights to come on. They might have just been braking to, here comes the stoplight.
You didn't chase them down and road rage them?
No way. No way. I wasn't even going to Costco, but I parked at Costco because I was shaking.
Yeah.
Like I was like, there was this close to being just like 50 miles an hour, just no brakes whatsoever. Even if you're in a bigger car, like that was a big ass F-150 too.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, like, man, if I was in my Accord, I don't know what would have happened, because that Accord would have been crushed.
Right.
And then I was also thinking about, what about the life of the people that are in the minivan? Like, I don't know, what if they were
it's a minivan, there's a good chance there could have been kids.
In the back seat. Like, what's going on with that? Like, that's what scared the hell out of me.
And you can't stop Debbie Downer.
Well, I know that's what, and that's what Dylan was talking about. Is like, this is a guy that that day we were talking about it, but at that point I'm like, what an absolute. And then I stopped and I'm like, okay.
I've been sitting here looking at Sterling while you're telling the story. I'm like, when is he going to say it? When is he going to say it?
Seriously,
Dylan brought it up.
It's a beautiful day. The sun is shining.
It is. It is absolutely a beautiful day.
Let's
it is
give
a beautiful
context.
day.
There's context.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's
we got barbecue in front of us.
Oh my God, it is a great day. No doubt about that. We get to watch the Royals tonight take on the Rays.
Yeah.
We're going to be at Rosedale tomorrow. We got the July 4th
barbecue.
weekend.
That's what I'm thankful for.
Hopefully everybody has a 4-day weekend. I know not everybody's going to get that, but
I didn't
hopefully
even
people
see
get a
that they
4-day
brought,
weekend.
like that jug of.
Dude, it's great. Their
That's
sauce.
awesome.
Their sauce is unique. Like,
awesome.
I know that if I had a blind taste test, I would know Rosedale's barbecue sauce immediately.
Guaranteed.
It might be the only one. Like, there's somewhere I'm like, I know that taste, but is it Joe's? Is it Jack Stack? Is it Q? I can know the taste. Rosedale? Oh, that's Rosedale.
Yeah.
That's Rosedale every time.
It's so damn good.
All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Who also is so damn good? It's Les Norman. We'll continue with more Breaking the Norm with Les Norman next. All right, we are breaking the norm with Les Norman right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, presented by TruckMovers.com, First Federal Bank of Kansas City, and presented by Biesterveld and Crook. All right, Les, home road splits, wins, losses, batting average, success, etc. The Royals on the road this year are 17-23, and the Royals at home are now 30-16.
Wow.
The Guardians, for example, on the road, the Guardians are 26-21, but at home they are 26-9. The Guardians at home.
Wow.
So, I mean, I would guess not every team has that, because the Royals for a while, one, they weren't that good in general, but they also weren't good at Kauffman. Like, it was one of those things that we would talk about is like, you know, they're winning more games on the road, and yet they come home, you want fans, but you can't win at home. Like, it's not a fun night.
Backwards.
Yeah, they've been playing awesome. Like, is there something to the, you know, this particular team maybe home road split because they had a terrible road trip, and then they came home, and in their minds they were like, all right, let's see what we're made of. Now we're at home where we play good baseball. And they're 5-2 so far in that stretch. Like, is there anything that you can like tangibly point to, or as playing, like a difference in feel, comfort, whatever that may be?
I think part of it is you sleep in your own bed, you're in your own locker, you're your own fans, you know you know your own stadium. I mean, if you go to Pittsburgh, to Oakland, to Cincinnati, to San Francisco, to any other team, you're probably only going to play there once unless they're in your division, but you're going to play 81 times. It's your own music. It's your own, you know, Bobby Witt Jr. knows every inch of that dirt. Everybody in their position, they just know. And again, when you come off of a long road trip and you're crawling into your own bed, it's a different sleep. You know what I mean? It's just, it's a different calm, a different peace. You can handle your personal affairs the way you want. I mean, there's just every part of it that relaxes you and calms you down. So it's absolutely a thing to be able to play. Now, again, in the past, we've seen some teams just aren't really good enough that they don't win at home, and they should. And if you're doing that, you're thinking, oh boy, this is maybe not be a playoff team. So yeah, there's something about that.
To me, it's so drastic on the hitting side of things for the Royals. And it's not just a little bit. And I get, you know, you're comfortable sleeping in your own bed, but also I wonder if it's a team that's been built for the K. I would love to get your thoughts here, because at home they have 22 more doubles, 11 more triples, 14 more home runs. At home, they are batting .269 as a team. Away, they're batting .218 as a team. Which on base we can get to. I think that kind of travels both ways. But slugging at home, .448. Slugging on the road, .353. At home, they're OPSing .781, which is actually a good amount better than what Vinny has been on the season. On the road, they are OPSing .632, which is actually worse than Nelson Velasquez. So to put that into perspective of how different they have been as a team at home versus on the road, it's drastic. And I think it's almost, I'd love to get your thoughts here. We always say, well, you know, Kauffman, not a hitter's park.
It kind of is. It's played the last couple of years as more of an offensive park.
I think it's a huge hitter's park.
I mean, 11 triples, 11 more triples, 22 more doubles, which I think is to be expected, but 14 more home runs for Kansas City. Is that the Royals building? Is that, I mean, you're not trying to hit to center, obviously. I mean, right. You're trying to hit, you're not trying to always hit a pull ball, but like Vinny, all of his home runs have been pulled. Like, they're finding the short is a quotation mark here, right? Because when you get to right center, it's 387. Why are the Royals so much better hitting at home?
So I grew up in, I'm old enough that I grew up where there were a couple varsity high school basketball games that still hadn't gone into the glass square backboard yet. It was still that weird kind of ovally shape. I mean, that's,
you can't go underneath because you can't get spin on it. It just hits the bottom.
Absolutely. And it's that aluminum that makes that clang, like the old playground kind of things. And so I think that there's that peaceful mindset. You know, you're used to the background. You know, you played at Kauffman so much, you're used to being able to see the ball whether you can or whether you can't, whereas other places like, oh, I don't see the ball as well here. I don't know what this angle is. I mean, there really is something different that is your mindset. You know, we talked about Scotty Scheffler before. There's when you're confident in your putting and you know a course. I went to meet a dear friend of mine, Russell Brown, today, who's retired, but he used to play Loch Lloyd all the time. not just because he was a member there, but because he knows the course. And the one time I went out there, he's like in his 70s, and he just waxed me. I mean, he destroyed me on the course, not just because he's a great golfer, but because he also knows the course very well. And so there's something to be said about the mindset that makes you hit better because you're confident, you know the stadium, you know that when you hit a fly ball, there's a pretty good chance that it's going to, if you charge it well, it's going to be a gapper because it's a little bit bigger. And so, again, that doesn't guarantee you're going to hit it in the gap. Baseball is hard. But there's a confidence to know you're going to attack the ball a little bit more. You're going to put a better swing on it a little bit more. You tend to know what pitches you can drive a little bit better in stadiums that you're used to. So at home, again, there's that is confidence that goes into mechanics a little bit more. So there's a few intangibles in there that I think that are really big that translate. It may take longer than your normal analytics to get through it, but I think it does translate to being more comfortable at home equates to better hitting at home.
Guardians fans just say the Royals are cheating.
Whatever you want. You're 26-9 at home. Shut up.
The Royals are either hacking pitch comms for the opposing teams, or they are using a parabolic microphone focused on the catcher or the pitcher's head to pick up the pitches.
That's Houston.
Yeah.
We don't have trash cans anymore.
You beat the Guardians 3 out of 4. And their fans are going through it.
You have to be cheating.
Oh, my God. They are going through it. They are trying to find ways to cope because of the Royals splits at home and on the road.
I'm not in on this. Is this really a thing?
Oh, yeah.
It is. I'm using it jokingly because I don't want to give it much weight in terms of seriousness. But now there have been some people on TikTok that are picking up on the drastic splits between the Royals at home and on the road offensively, and comparing it to other teams' splits, which aren't nearly as drastic as the Royals. And, they strike out this high percentage on the road. They strike out this low percentage at home. They walk at this, high percentage at home. They walk at this low percentage on the road, that there's something clearly going on at Kauffman for them to be such better hitters or whatever in that spot than on the road or whatever. So there have been a number of people that picked up on that, and that's because the Royals have beaten the Guardians 3 out of 4.
If you have a 40-something or higher that's using TikTok to air out their Major League Baseball fandom differences, then there's probably deeper issues than them really believing that the Royals are hacking pitch comms.
Yes.
It is pretty crazy. The Royals, though, on the road are Chris Getz, and at home they are 2014 Alex Gordon. I looked it up. They are basically 2014 Alex Gordon at home when he was an all-star.
Wow.
So
yeah, I mean they've been good, but like if they were doing that, then why did they wait till this year to do that? Like last year they lost 106 games.
Yeah, they're the first team in Major League history to have a road and home split. So
ever.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
crazy.
NBA must be doing it all the time too.
Yep, that's right. Last year, Boston at home had the second highest batting average and had the 23rd best batting average on the road.
What about the Cleveland Browns, whose defense was like the best in football at home, the worst
to
on
be
the
fair,
road?
I mean, Boston did rehire a certain manager that.
Yeah.
Oh wow, good call.
That's a great point. Yep. Also, how does that explain Cleveland scoring 5 runs in the series against the Royals?
We're
they're on
using
the road.
logic. Okay,
They're on the road. They must not be good offensively on the road.
You're destroying my joke of all these analytics and all these things. Like, dude, you need to get out more. But yet, I know you're playing softball, you're playing golf, you're out there all the time. So it just ruins my jokes on people that are into analytics because you're both.
I'm both.
Yeah,
it's both.
You're
both.
Mad respect.
You're a mathlete and an athlete.
Yes, I'm.
Well,
both.
That's not. You can't do that.
Well, I use the
one or
analytics.
other.
I'm like Bryson on the golf course. I'm going to use my analytics to
Just
help
one
my
swing.
game. Just one swing.
One swing.
One
no matter
club.
the club. One
club
swing.
length.
One club swing. We'll take
I
a
should have
timeout.
thought about that, though.
Yeah, you should absolutely. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back and continue rolling. I'm going to get Les Norman's thoughts on Vinny Pasquantino. Who will the real Vinny Pasquantino please stand up? Please stand up. We'll explain next.
prefer to have him be bundled up like a little, like what's his name in Ralphie, in a Christmas store. I'd love that just to make sure.
It'd be tough for him to steal.
Sometime when he's like flying to third and he's like 6 feet off the ground, I'm like, dude, get a little lower. I don't want you to like break a rib out here. Break your sternum.
It is a beautiful sight.
But a long time ago, we were taught that if you're going to head first slide, if that's your game, don't not head first slide. If that's you, if that's your game, and that was my game, always fingers up.
Yeah,
fingers up. Don't flat hand it and go into the bag that way. Fingers up in anticipation of hitting a bag.
But now with the mitt, now the fingers can be down and you can get to the bag a little quicker.
But I feel like the mitt would still hurt your finger. Like.
Well, it's padded in there.
No, my point though is,
but still, there's force going in.
Yeah, like I feel like you're doing the same thing, but I'm convinced people do it because they think it looks cool, and I'm here to tell you, it does not look cool.
Little kids do it because the big leagues do it, and they think it's look cool. There's no
give them an oven mitt.
There's no little league player
right now.
There's no little league player that's going to.
Reminds me of Gumby.
Yes.
There was the Gumby hands.
But I just don't know. Garcia wears it and slides feet first.
Like batting gloves, I get batting gloves.
Yeah.
It's like catching the ball with your mitt, or trying. You're holding the ball in your non-glove hand, your throwing hand, and you tag them with an empty glove. Yeah.
There was a video that brought this up for me, I guess. Did anyone see like the mom that went out and got actual oven mitts for the team instead of the $70 ones?
That's electric.
And it's like, actually the kids
Mom of the year.
Yeah, the kids
Seriously.
that get the $70 mitt are more made fun of than the kids that have the, like, thrown together oven mitt out there, because it's like, why?
It's all over the place.
It's
man.
the shooter sleeve.
It's all over the place
youth
with
basketball.
with 8, 9-year-olds.
Remember, if you're
getting to first base and putting that mitt on,
if you're the eighth customer today, you win a free oven mitt.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I would love that. All right, who's the real Vinny Pasquantino? I'm going to give you these numbers. I'm going to try to go through them quickly. But the up and down season for Vinny. Okay, so first 28 games, OPS 694. Next 10 games, he OPS'd 1.12 with 7 doubles, 12 RBIs in 10 games. The next 13 games, he OPS'd 429 with 2 walks and 14 strikeouts. And the last 29 games, he's OPSing 866, 12 walks, 14 Ks. Overall, his numbers are, subpar to Vinny, but it's been a rough start, a small little, a hot streak, and then a rough 13 games. And then the last 29 games, he's been an 866 OPS guy. The real Vinny, are we watching him now? These last 29 that he went through the slow start, the little hot streak, the rough patch, and now he's got into his groove over these last 29, especially in June, that he's kind of the guy that you were hoping he would be, this 860 OPS guy. He didn't have to be 866 OPS, but, a guy who's getting on base at 350 and slugging 519 in his last 29 games.
Well, remember, when you have over 200 at-bats, it's hard to raise your average. Mm-hmm. And he's approaching 250, and he was hovering around 200. So you can look at the ebbs and flows in those streaks, and you can, which one's going to stand up? But spread that whole thing out and look at the long haul. And let's remember, what season of Vinny Pasquantino has been a full season for him yet?
Yeah.
He hasn't had one.
Hopefully this year.
This would be his first year. Yeah. And so when you get called up, and then the next year you get hurt, and then this year you're only at the All-Star break, he still has not had a full season. And it takes a full season in the same season, not the second half of one and the first half of the other, but a full season for you to learn how they're pitching you, to learn the ebbs and flows, to learn how the chess match works with advanced scouting and how they're going to pitch you and how they're going to adjust your confidence level, things like that. And so that's just a maturity thing. And so I am more apt to say the good Vinny, the hot Vinny, is going to be what, as long as he stays healthy, is going to be what comes, because he's still a leader to me. This guy is still a gamer. Nobody can ever get on him because he's already going to get on himself. And so I think we're getting the good Vinny for the long haul.
This is already the most games he's played in a single season in his career.
Wow.
What is a little unsettling
at the major league level.
This is exactly the same numbers he put up last year. 247 average last year, 247 this year, 324 on base last year, 321 this year.
Wow.
Slugging 437 last year, slugging 436 this year. So this might be Vinny in his rookie year was the outlier.
You need to get out more. Just kidding.
I'm hoping all week,
all
baby.
Those numbers. I know you have.
I'm hoping these last 30 games is Vinny, getting more comfortable and being a guy that's, getting on base at 350, which you know he can. You know he can be a guy that can bat 270 and get on base at 350. He should be that guy. What do you got coming on Breaking the Norm today, Les?
Jim Melody, 20 years, Lee Summit High School head varsity baseball coach.
Awesome. Sounds great. Les, you're the man.
Good to see
Love you, brother.
About a fellow by the name of
Todd Lebo.
At least that was the handle his loving parents gave him. But he never had much use for it himself. This
Lebo.
he called himself.
Lebo.
Sometimes there's a man. Well, he's the man for his time and place. He fits right in there. And that's
Todd Liabo.
Kansas City.
I hate Lebo.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, Todd Lebo joining us on this Tuesday edition of the show, heading up until 2 o'clock. Todd, how are you, sir?
Well, I'm doing great,
Great.
because we had everyone clear the Rosedale barbecue out of here, because if I sat here for a whole hour and continued to eat,
Yeah.
it was going to be
Tell
too
me
much.
about it. Tell me about it.
Too
Every
much.
break, I'm sitting here grazing.
Yeah.
Just a little sausage, some little chopped.
It's like faux gras. They're turning me into one of those ducks.
Are you calling
French fries.
Blake the intern fanboy? That's his nickname from the morning. So I told him.
Why is it fanboy?
Because he said when Matt Beasler was in the studio a couple weeks ago on New Day, he said, I don't want to be a fanboy, but then he
Yeah, because
to be
you're the
a total
fanboy, yeah.
So he's fanboy. But I told him, I said, got to get this food out of here.
Yeah.
I can't have this in here for a whole hour, because I love Rosedale
So
barbecue.
we don't get to create a nickname for him?
You can have a nickname for zone time.
Well, let's just call him Fanboy for now. Is he in there? Is Fanboy in
He's
there?
back there cleaning out the
Okay.
food, I told him.
So have you got it figured out? Is it done?
I got Sterling's logo ready.
All right, come on in here
30
then.
Minutes.
Oh, in 30 minutes? You got
ahead.
it'll take you 30 more minutes to finish it?
I would say that this could be one of the last Factor fictions you could say. Is it a cool logo?
Awesome. Let's count on that. Okay, we'll bring you in here.
If it's Sterling, it's absolutely cool.
Yeah, for sure. For
Slaps.
sure. So Fanboy the intern,
Turn into fun
Has,
boy.
Cleared
uh,
out the food. We
Party
used to-
Boy the intern.
When I worked at Channel 4, it was Rosedale.
You were on TV?
all the time. I wasn't on TV.
He was
I
behind the
worked
scenes.
at Channel 4,
Ah,
but
that
it
makes
was
more
so
sense.
close. Frank Bull would send you down the hill. Go to Rosedale. Give me
We
some
got
fries.
the, where's that? Where's my phone at? Oh, I was holding it.
I don't even know where my phone is.
Anybody see my glasses? Frank texted us earlier. We were talking about Rosedale. He said, beef deluxe and a pound of fries.
Pound of fries.
Beef deluxe and a pound of fries. I'm like, yep. Where
You
your
go to Rosedale.
loca-
Bring me some back. Bring
where
me
you-
back fries.
where your location was, no doubt that
Yeah.
you probably enjoyed that
And that
a lot.
wax paper, too, so they stay hot for
Yes.
like hours.
So I
It's
ate plenty, but I don't want to eat for a whole other hour while we're here.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I needed it to leave the studio as well because, again, I just kept eating and eating. And also, I'm going to have it again tomorrow because we're going to be out there at
doing the show,
Rosedale
yeah.
for the 90th birthday. 90th anniversary of them opening up Rosedale, 1934,
I'm
when they
pretty
first
sure-
opened up that restaurant.
We did some stuff for them when it was 75.
In 1975, you did
No,
some
when
stuff
they
with-
turned
Oh,
75, because
Oh.
we've been doing this for a while, too.
That was 15 years ago then, is my quick
Yeah.
little calculation.
Quick maths.
Quick maths. Quick
No,
maths.
it's a great place. Wonderful food. Tasty. Tasty.
That place opened up in 34 and then survived the Great Depression. How's that
That
happen?
was kind of in the middle of it. Let's
Yeah,
just open
like,
up
oh,
right
let's
here.
can we get a restaurant going? Let's do it. You know what? Let's zig when everybody else is zagging.
It's like during
Let's
COVID. No,
invest.
now we're going to start a restaurant.
Yep.
Let's do it right now.
And now you know what? Now we're going to start a restaurant that you have to eat here, indoors.
If you can,
no social
you can
distancing.
survive this, we'll survive anything.
That's right. That's
Rosedale
right.
has survived.
Yep.
It's great.
WW2 right around the corner. Doesn't matter. Let's get this thing going, man. Rosedale's been through it all.
All of
90 years.
Well, that guy that came in was a fourth generation.
Fourth generation.
It was third and fourth generation that
Yep.
came by and stopped, dropped it
Brought
off.
food.
Yep. Awesome.
Tasty stuff.
Todd Lebo is with us. I asked
Are we
Sterling.
going to take a break so I can go get some food from the break room? No, I'm kidding.
Well, you know, it was just in here. Why didn't you just eat it when it was here?
I
Okay.
ate plenty.
I was eating on air whenever Jason was talking. I knew I
Yes.
had a while.
Just
You know, when he
eat.
starts, I knew I had a second. So I
Get a
could.
second. Get it. Eat a whole salmon.
Whenever Jason started asking a question, I knew I had 20 minutes to eat. Sterling did not go to the match last night. He had an
No.
opportunity to. He chose not to. You went there,
Yes.
went early. The whole atmosphere and everything seemed like a lot of fun until it wasn't last
Yeah,
night.
it was fun. And, you know, they had 55,000 people there, so it wasn't full. I don't know. I'm not going to say anyone should or shouldn't go spend money on anything and whatever the soccer capital of the world, North America things, all that stuff. I know that buying tickets through these things, it's not always the cheapest affair. The Copa America is not something people really understand and know about sometimes. But it was great. The people who were there were
Yeah.
into it. There were thousands of Uruguayan fans and thousands of American fans. And there was Home of the Chiefs at the end of the anthem. So the Chiefs fans were there. Were some locals here. They played Sandstorm at one point, and I thought I heard some K-State Wildcat fans saying something in the corner.
saying something about
I was
bleep
like-
Uruguay.
Yeah, no, they weren't saying
Oh.
Uruguay. I mean, the song just brings it out in them.
Interesting,
I think.
yeah.
But it was a great atmosphere. It was fun, and
It's
you
like
just,
Mr. Brightside. Was that played at
yeah,
all?
I know. I was acting. It was interesting. I was sitting next to Nate Bucati's nephew, and I heard Sandstorm, and I said they're going to start saying F, and he goes no, and I thought, and maybe I just imagined I heard,
Okay, yeah.
But I thought I heard it. Not
That's
from
great.
lots, but some.
That's funny.
And you know that
And then he said, and I said, if they start Mr. Brightside, it's going to get wild in here.
you know, like all the people from Uruguay are like, so they hate each other?
What are they
Like,
talking
I
about?
thought they were a
What's going
country
on?
together.
So Nate's nephew goes to Nebraska, and he says they play some song up there, and they still say FKU. So
Well, you
I
know,
don't
it's
know.
good to be KU then.
I guess.
You know, if everybody's saying
Everybody hates
everybody's
you.
coming up with songs about bleep you, and
But it was a disappointing night for sure because America, I mean, never really threatened to score. They had some opportunities, but they didn't create great chances.
yeah, there
And
was
they needed
one
to
where
score.
just one touch away from Pulisic being wide open.
The one
Yeah.
late.
late in the
The
game,
one
just
late,
one extra touch, and I would have liked to see Pulisic with a half the net and a goalkeeper that's trying to get over there. Instead, it was
Uruguayan's
trying to be the hero.
defense was great. I mean, there
They
were so
were.
many balls got stopped before the goalkeeper had to do anything with them.
Yep.
And that's dumb luck. You know, guys are just in the
Yeah.
way, or they. But there's some precision to it. So that was disappointing. Here's what sucks about going to a game like this when you're involved in CONMEBOL's in charge. It used to be this way when you go to an NCAA event or a Big 12 event. There were no replays. Now they've kind of fixed that.
Yeah.
They'll show replays. They'll do things. It's a bit like this sometimes at Major League Baseball games. They don't want to embarrass referees or whatever. But there are no replays. Nothing on the Jumbotrons.
Like even with the VAR and the
Nope.
offside goal.
They had a big graphic up that says, hey, the VAR's happening.
Oh my God!
So people around us
Gotta
were
go
watching on
online,
the
yeah.
phone. By the way, Arrowhead signal wasn't great last night. I was having a hard time.
Yeah.
You know, getting anything out, just checking the other score in the other game. So we're looking at it, and I'm getting texts from everyone. You know, Jake Gutierrez is sending me screenshots and everything. You know, so that was disappointing that at these events, and this is just the way it works with these big soccer federations. I guess there was the TV angles were horrible.
It was
I guess.
awful.
So
It was like an all 22. It was like the entire pitch that they wanted to have in the screenshot.
Yeah, so that I wasn't subjected to that. It was great.
You also had the same camera angle.
I had the
You
same
had
camera.
whole, the whole pitch that you could see.
Very good seats. I was lower probably.
Look at you.
I would like to have been a little bit higher, maybe
Yes.
to watch. But it was super. But it's very disappointing. We were talking to Beasler a few weeks ago when he was in, and I remember talking to I think Peter about this. Maybe one day I was subbing for Surin. But like, what did you have to do in this? I don't think there's any thought that the United States would win this because Brazil is excellent and Argentina is excellent, and I think they'll hopefully get to play against each other in this, and it'll be awesome to see because they're, it's not just Messi's not the only person on the team, right? They got younger guys too, and Brazil is super young and has great players now, but you got to get out of group stage. You can't not do that, and they lost their chance really to have a breeze through group stage when they got the red card, and they deserved the red card against Panama.
Yeah.
Tim Weah was stupid to do that.
It was selfish. It was dumb.
And listen, if they didn't have VAR back in the day, you could do things like that. And if the referee didn't see it, you were going to be
He
okay.
got a yellow. Referee didn't see it. He gave him a yellow. He knew something happened, but he didn't see it. And
Yeah.
then VAR was actually, dude, you got to go.
You got to go.
Yeah, it
this
was
is the way it
dumb.
goes. Now, there were some awful things. The referee last night, the head referee, was atrocious. The point where he pulled a yellow card out and allowed play to go on, which never
And
happened.
then immediately puts the yellow card away while booking, like, oh, wait, no, we're playing. Sorry, I'll come back to you.
and then still went back and booked, was terrible. Not shaking Pulisic's hand at the end, and Pulisic got hot at the end. Listen, I know he's the captain, and there were a lot of things that happened in that game that were bad. But the VAR, the bench saw they were looking at their own feet of the VAR. They were confident that it was going to get overturned.
Yeah.
Didn't. Now none of that would have mattered because they still needed to go
Yeah,
score.
they still would have had to score.
But
Who's worse, Carl Cheffers or that ref?
that ref.
That ref.
That's worse than
yeah.
anything I've seen in the NFL.
Because that ref had never been in that position before. And they put him in a position that he wasn't ready for. Like Carl Cheffers is, he may not be great at his job, but he's at least been in those moments before.
Yeah, playoff games and all
where
that stuff.
that guy might be a good official. I don't know. He just wasn't ready for that
Not for
moment.
that. Not for that. And it's hard to referee soccer. One guy gets to stand on the field and run the whole thing. Now, they have assistant referees running around the side, but there's only one guy on the field. It's way better now than it was because they're all connected with headsets, and you can see someone, an assistant will say, he'll tell them his ear, oh, it's white ball, it's blue ball, foul, whatever, and he'll help them a little bit. It is certainly better than it was, but it's a hard job to do. That being said, he was not good at it and lost control of it. And but that's not why they lost. They need to score goals. They didn't have some goal taken away, you know. They
On a
needed
controversial call or
No.
anything.
And they deserve the red card.
Because
they
and
got.
and the frustration is that they had a goal taken away against Panama, and then this goal stood against Uruguay, and it felt like it was sort of the same thing. Like it was
Exactly.
almost the same play. It was the follow up after the save, but this guy was offsides when the touch happened, and then one was taken away, one was
Terrible.
given, and they both went against the United States. And yeah, if those are switched, then hey, they win the group. Who
Right.
knows? Like if they
Well, if they just would have won the Panama game.
would just win the Panama game,
Then last night would have been really
Yeah.
kind of for nothing, really.
But also, you put yourself in that position because whether it's one player or not, it was an undisciplined approach to a match in which the entire preview was, this is what Panama is going to do. The United States has to be ready for Panama making it a more physical, trying to get under their skin.
Can't let it happen.
And you can't let it get to you. And it only took 15 minutes for it to get to Tim Weah. 15 minutes, that's it. That is incredibly undisciplined.
Yeah, it was.
And not ready for the enormity of what that game meant to let it get to you, or just thinking, oh, we're better than this team, it doesn't matter. We're going to try to intimidate them back. We're not going to let you do that. Instead of keeping your head and knowing that they're going to do that and not responding, Tim Weah's response was, no, I'm going to come back even harder on you.
Yeah.
And now you're out of the game, and now you're supposed to be the better team, but now you're not, down a man.
Yeah, it's you don't get kicked out of many sports, okay? You get a flagrant foul in basketball, it's hard to get kicked out of a basketball game. You have to get 6 fouls, 5 fouls in college, whatever, and you have to do something really bad. In football, to get kicked out, you have to really get caught punching someone.
Yeah, right.
Kind of what Weah did, but you could kind of get away with punching someone in football a little bit, you
In
know.
baseball, just argue balls and strikes, and you'll get thrown out.
But that
A little
one,
easier there.
Menacing. Rasheed Wallace would just look at you.
when you
Yeah.
do
Toss.
this, when you do that and you get kicked out, that's why you have to play more disciplined, because you are always one dumb thing away from getting kicked out of the game.
Well, and the official in that Panama game, and I know we're talking
And by the
more
way,
about last
in
night.
other
but
sports, when they kick you out of the game, someone else
Someone comes into play. Yes, it's
they
more
don't make you
punitive.
play with 4.
it's way more punitive in soccer.
Yeah,
so
it's-
you got to be smarter about
Yes.
not getting kicked out.
It's the only
there
game
was
I know of where you play shorthanded.
Yes, there was getting ready for a set piece in the Panama game on Thursday night, and Panama was going for a corner, and there was some jostling that happens with the defenders and the guys there in the box, and the referee comes over and starts talking to him, and then he starts doing it again, and you can see the official sort of mouth to him that we can see everything, and he just pointed around like,
Yeah.
dumbass.
We're watching you.
You think you're trying to get away with it from me? We see everything. And he goes in one of those things like,
Oh,
all right,
right,
okay,
okay,
yeah, okay, yeah, I get it. Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's like, that's the world now. It's
Yeah.
like, you're not just trying to get away with it with this one referee that he doesn't see it, and I'll throw a little elbow here. Like, no, everything's going to be seen and everything's going to be reviewed. And no matter what the excuses are, like, it's still a catastrophic failure for them to not
like
make
I
it
said,
out of the
I don't
group
think they're going to
stage.
win, but I was listening yesterday when you were talking to JT Batson. It's like getting through the group stage puts you into another cauldron
Yes.
to have a real battle.
Yeah.
And they're just not going to have
To
any
get
of those
ready for the World Cup.
because they're already in the World Cup. Now,
Yeah.
they need to find a way to go create those things.
Yep.
That would be during training, and they'll have friendlies. There'll be some, some of the friendlies, people, they also want to get ready
Yeah.
too, right? But everyone else, except for Canada, Mexico, and United States, has to go qualify. So it's hard to get someone's best shot in a friendly.
Well, Canada moved on.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well-
Mexico didn't though. So it's
Well, the thing about Canada is, though, like, their best athletes all play soccer. That's what we know about Canada. So it's one thing about if you just had your best athletes play
why isn't this
that
grass
sport.
slick? This isn't hockey. They come in
They,
waves.
boy, Canada was putting those defenders on skates, man.
They've had some good years, Canada has, but it's been up and down for
Mm-hmm.
them. But this is super disappointing when you're hosting Copa America here
Yeah.
in America and not get out of group. So disappointing. Maybe
Well, I thought it
heads
was,
will roll,
I asked JT Batson about that yesterday, about, like,
He
if
was
they.
very diplomatic about all his
He
answers.
was, but, like, the question about, not only the decision that may need to be made, and him saying, well, every single tournament we go, and which is the Matt Crocker release that he put out today anyway, was sort of the same thing of like, well, this is what we do every single tournament.
Yeah.
We're going to assess. But my question about, okay, then does there need to be stability from Bruce Arena to
Yeah.
Bob Bradley to Jurgen Klinsmann, and since then it was arena for not qualifying for the World Cup, and then interim, and then interim, and then Berhalter, and then not renewing his contract, interim, and then rehiring him back to Berhalter.
After all the controversy about
and then
blackmail.
And then maybe firing him again. Like, does there need to be stability? And I thought his answer was interesting in the fact that he was like, it's more important, like, top to bottom. Like, that guy, it was almost like him saying, stability ain't an issue.
Right.
So if we want to fire this guy, we'll fire this guy, not caring about what's happened over the last 4 or 5 years of us going through some coaching cycles.
It's almost like an all-star coach is what it sounds like, where he's just there for the game. He's not.
Yeah. He's like, that guy is there for tactical stuff, but the men's national team, the big thing is like top to bottom. It's organizational, where that guy's not really around him all that much. It sounded to me like, hey, don't worry about stability. If we fire him, we fire him. We fire him, it's going to be, we're not going to keep him because, we've had these number of coaches that we've gone through. And I think they're past the part of maybe getting a lawsuit if they were to fire him or not renew him.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if this were, football or, some college football or, NBA story, the whole firing and the letters and the blackmailing stuff of old college roommates, you're not playing my kid, freaking 30 for 30 stuff.
Yeah.
And people just haven't paid that much attention to, because it's not the biggest sport for us here in Kansas City until, there's events happening and stuff like that.
Get the World Cup. We have the
it's
Copa.
just like that whole thing was wild.
I mean, I think that, and that's where, like, you run into, if you're not having success and there's no momentum from that World Cup and it feels like there's a stagnation or regressing, then there is an element of people now saying, okay, were you only rehired to avoid a lawsuit? Like, were you only brought back so that you can just squash this whole thing with the lawsuit one way or another? All right, you're back here, and let's see if stability will help. And these players really like you. Well, that's great. They like you. They're not playing hard for you, but they certainly like you.
I did think they played pretty hard last night. They were trying. But listen, they just were not as good as Uruguay. They should have just won the Panama game.
Yeah, just win the Panama, or beat down Bolivia to maybe give you more confidence even going into it. But like, you win by 2 goals over Bolivia, and then you're messing around with Panama. You're getting a red card, and you're in this position that you are, and there's really just no feel of like an improvement moving forward. And if there's a comfort or resting on your laurels aspect of this group of players that are the golden age, they've been donned like this is the golden age of skill and ability of these. It's the most talented group of young players we've ever seen in the United States. They've also heard that. They also know what people are saying about them. And I think a new manager can shake some things up, in that you have to re-earn your spot.
Well,
you bring a new manager in.
They should feel like underdogs, because they are underdogs when you look at the world, and they should get the chip on their shoulder like they used to have. And they don't really have a chip on their shoulder.
No. Is it? I don't know if it's because they're now playing in European clubs and playing, like, that was what people had talked about for so long. If we can get our men's national team players to play overseas and be on those clubs, we're going to get better. Well, not if they're not playing. Not if they're riding the bench, they're not getting better.
Yeah, I'm no expert on the whole thing, but I think MLS is much better than it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever. And I think this is a good league. I would like to see some MLS players on this team, or have some of these players come back to America. Then maybe they're at least, it's closer to get back here to train and do things. They're going halfway across the world to come back for some of these things. And I know there's airplanes and blah, blah, blah and all that bit. But
there are airplanes, Lebo. Yes, there are.
And they get to fly on those things. But I think MLS is a pretty good league right now. And it's not where some of these guys are playing, but some really good stuff happening here. And I think there's players in MLS who probably are hungrier than some of these players. And I think maybe some of these guys should come back here and play in America. But
do you will and should? Will they make a move with Greg Berhalter, in your opinion, and should they?
I think they probably will do both. Yeah,
I'm hoping that's.
And
I hope yes is both.
Listen, it's 2 years till World Cup, but there's no qualifying.
You don't have to.
So listen, look around at the way that some of these countries do this. In, out, in, out.
That's why I said if you're serious about any country that was serious about soccer,
coach might have gotten fired during the game.
Yeah,
but they can make it one.
He damn near. If it wasn't for the bicycle kick, I think he was out. Like they were interviewing fans leaving that match.
They might have tarmacked him. Got him like Britt Bielema on the field after the game.
I mean, fans leaving early against that match they were interviewing, and that's all they were talking about was sacking him. He's got to be gone. You got to get him
Southgate
out. He sucks. Southgate. He's the problem. If you're countries that are serious about soccer, he'd be gone. He wouldn't be retained if it was a country that was like legitimate, like this is our sport.
Yeah.
This is what we care about the most. Not good enough. We're moving on. We're finding somebody else. And if the U.S. Soccer Federation is truly serious about this sport and growing it from winning in the World Cup, then you move on and you find out if it is this group of players. Because if this group of players isn't the right group,
get more.
Then you need to figure out that. But you won't know if it's these players or not unless you get rid of Berhalter.
Yeah.
Like it's whether he's the problem or not, you won't know if he's the problem until you move on from him. And if the next coach comes in and can't figure it out, then you got to find a different group of players. Yeah. Or maybe the next coach comes in and says, "This is not the right mix. You're missing this and that."
Lifetime contracts for this thing. You get in here and if you're not good enough, you're gone.
Talent isn't the only thing that should allow you to be on the U.S. men's national team. It's not just about
won in cricket.
See, come on.
Uruguay has 3.5 million people.
Yeah, but all those 3.5 million people do is play soccer. We don't have 3.5 million people that all they do is play soccer. Oh, wait. We probably do. We probably have more people in this country that have spent their entire life playing soccer than Uruguay does.
Are hungrier.
That's you're not wrong. I mean, it's also like it's their national
what they do.
Pride and culture. Whereas soccer players growing up in the United States, it's not what we live and breathe and die for as a country.
No, but America's pride is winning. America's all about winning.
Absolutely.
That's why they probably need to make a change here.
Yes.
Absolutely. But also, like,
I don't care if it's not baseball or NFL or I don't care. It's winning.
I know, but
accept this.
I agree with that. But the bigger picture sort of like the cultural fabric of the country, we have way more people than Wales. Way more people than Wales. And I bet we have more people in this country that play rugby than Wales does because we're that much bigger.
Yeah.
But if our national team played the Welsh in rugby,
get crushed.
It's all they care about in that's their sport is rugby. It's what they do. It's what their pride and their. Whereas here, it's like, oh, that's awesome. You play rugby for. Oh, is it on TV? Like I wouldn't even know if there was a place to watch it.
3.1 million people.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know if there's a place to watch it.
And I guess
but that's their national. It's all they do.
The fairness probably is too is if you were able to have the best athletes are playing probably football if they played. You know,
right? That's the thing.
But also, the
United States isn't getting out athleted though.
We're getting better. We're getting better and better athletes playing soccer. But the all of the guys playing soccer are not the best of American athletes.
No, but
I'll tell
Tyler
you,
Adams had a great game, and Tyler Adams was bullying.
I think
Uruguay.
I think
they weren't getting out athleted.
I think our female athletes are a higher echelon of all of the female athletes in America. And that's why we're winning more because lots of countries don't let women do things.
And now they're now teams are catching up.
Yeah, and now they're getting better.
And we'll see what happens in
the
Olympics
we saw that happen in basketball.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Everyone starts playing basketball, and all of a sudden, we better get Michael Jordan over there. We're going to win this. It used to be able to win with high school kids, college kids.
And then now we've seen it in the last 20 years. Like we're seeing the international players come in and win MVPs, countries competing with the United States.
In baseball, it's happened.
Imagine if Yugoslavia was still one country. If you put Yugoslavia as one country, it would be
dominant in a lot of things.
Oh man, yeah,
destroying people.
You talk about some hungry dudes.
No doubt. Oh man,
pun.
Yeah, Hungary.
Yeah,
it wasn't part of Yugoslavia.
No, I know, but still, it just in the area.
Eastern Bloc. Yeah, that stuff. But yeah, listen, we're getting better athletes playing soccer by far. That's another thing they talked about. The World Cup in '94, and I've told the story.
I mean,
before.
2002 they beat Portugal. They go to the
in 1996 they had a media day for the Kansas City Wizards. I was working at Channel 4. I was not someone who was on the air. I got to be on the air on this one because they said they had a media day, and people literally didn't know how to play soccer. So at Arrowhead Stadium, they had a media day.
That was 2 years after they hosted the World Cup.
And they had players out there, and the media would come out there, and they would literally run you through drills so you understood. And so I got to do a natural sound piece where I had a microphone on, and I was, goalie gloves, and because they were just literally trying to educate people on like what soccer even is. So from that time, which was 28 years ago, till now, leaps and bounds, more people playing soccer, organization, all those things. But you got to get the right 18 or 20 guys who this is what they want to do with their life, and have them want to play for America and do that. Yeah. That's what you have to get, because there are great athletes playing baseball and football and basketball.
Mike Trout
and everything,
and LeBron James and a Kobe.
of
But again,
soccer.
it's just they're not out athleted. They're out cultured. They are out skilled at times.
But I do think
they're out tactically.
I don't think they're super out athleted, but I think we could 1,000% out athlete everyone.
If it was the full pool of players that you
yes.
were choosing between, for sure.
If every single, like in Uruguay, there's only 3 million people, but there's nobody down there playing football.
But
okay?
I think
there's nobody down there playing baseball. You check the baseball reference. See how many Uruguayan baseball players there are.
And I think going,
it ain't there.
But I think going into like when we're talking about the bigger picture, sort of the cultural impact of what it ultimately means to a country, which then forces that level of play. Like I've talked about it with college basketball or college football programs. Like KU fans have unreasonable expectations, but those unreasonable expectations are a part of why KU's good. Is because they demand it. And if you don't demand it, you're not going to get it. And the country doesn't demand necessarily that the U.S. men's national team be amazing. You know, we demand some other things. We enjoy our sports. We demand our local teams to play at a certain level. But that demand is there from other countries. And like back in the day in baseball, I've talked about like Joe Morgan would walk to school with a stick and pick up rocks and just swing. Like that was his daily to play baseball. That's all they did. Like in the Dominican and in Venezuela, they're playing baseball with broomsticks and bottle caps. You know, they're doing that. And in other countries, they're simply just all playing soccer. Like it is their culture. And in this country, we got football, we got baseball, we got basketball, we have soccer, which is becoming more and more.
Lacrosse,
but
you
that
got
overall
pickleball, you got tennis, you got golf, you got everything.
The overall country demand to be of excellence at that particular sport is there with the diehard and the passionate soccer fans, but it's not there with the entire country where the casuals are going to go, what the hell are they doing? Why did we just lose to that country? Where 3.5 million people in Uruguay, you damn sure better beat the United States. They're not that good in soccer.
The way I kind of compare it is the two like dribbling sports of basketball and soccer, where we're way more skilled in basketball because there's a lot more basketball runs going on in America where you can find 5 people,
or
and a
2
hoop.
people, or
there
3
you go,
people.
3 people.
Yes,
Just a
21.
And it seems like in every soccer, dominant country, those little towns, their rec field or whatever the field that
Whatever
everyone
it is.
meets up at it is a really nice soccer field usually.
Well, I bet we can
With
wax
grass.
them in pickleball.
Or we would destroy. And
But they're
we're playing
dribbling on the way to the field. They're dribbling with their
Yes.
buddies.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
why they're so much more skilled and why it looks different. Like every pass we made last night seemed like under immense pressure, while every pass they were making was the perfect time pass on the money,
No, they're just
flicking it
better.
on.
Yeah, they're just it's better. I mean, it's better from top to bottom.
Should have beaten Panama, though.
You know? Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Beat Panama, and you're talking
Don't worry
about who
about it.
you're facing off against in the knockout
Or
round.
don't bench a player because of petty reasons, and we won't be here either. So.
It happens.
No, too. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Fact or fiction? That's what's going to come up on the other side of the break. Yes, it's fact. More Zone next. That is a fact, baby. Jason Anderson, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, Todd Lebo with us.
Liebo.
Todd Liabu is hanging out with us.
Tud.
Tood Liabu. By the way, speaking of Tood Liabu and the moderators and Labak, you see Mahomes and the logo on the Texas Tech Red Raider field, baby.
Field.
Woo!
It's interesting.
On the field.
This was a one Adidas league.
Yeah.
The Big 12, and now Arizona State's Adidas as well. There'd be 3 Adidas in the league. I don't know.
Yeah,
Is there enough money to go around?
I don't know. Like Texas Tech's trying to join that Adidas bandwagon. KU's like, hey, why are you biting? Get off the coattails, man. Come on.
Because Patrick Mahomes is bigger than anything.
I
He
mean-
wants his school to have Adidas and have his logo on the field. They're going to have it.
He is getting tired of wearing Texas Tech stuff and having to
Put the little label on it.
label over the Under
Under
Armour.
Armour.
Tom Brady never got his name on a field, so just throwing that out there.
Just throwing it out there.
That I think the GOAT debate settled.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Done.
Yep, yeah. That's Texas Tech
Fact.
is all about Patrick Mahomes, and Michigan is all about Harbaugh.
We had a few more.
Nope, that's it. It's all about Harbaugh.
Fact
Nobody
or
else.
fiction?
Nobody else. Fact or fiction? We're gonna start with Todd this time. Should we start with Todd this time? He's a guest.
Lebo.
Yeah.
Leaboo.
Spicy versus sweet barbecue sauce. I typically land on sweet.
You land on sweet?
Yeah.
You shouldn't, so fiction.
Spicy's a harder challenge, so I'm gonna go with spicy.
So you said spicy over sweet is the fact or fiction?
I said spicy versus sweet barbecue sauce. I typically land on sweet.
I said
Oh.
false because I want you to land on spicy.
Fiction. You're gonna land on spicy, and you're saying he's gonna land on spicy too, or sweet?
Yes, because spicy is harder to handle than being like sweet. You know,
Okay.
So did you say fact or
So-
fiction?
Yeah, what's
fiction, right?
Yeah, it's
We're all
fiction.
fiction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was the easy one. I'm a spicy guy.
Yeah.
I literally had the spicy Rosedale sauce. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm a spicy
You're a
barbecue
spicy
sauce guy.
boy.
Yeah.
I'm a spicy
I feel
boy.
like the construction of the question was a little difficult.
But
I
you
think
are,
it's easy.
But we all
you
got
are
there.
a sweetheart too,
Yeah, I am, but I just wanted to start. I like starting everyone off with
Yes.
1 point.
Yeah, no, that's great.
even though it's confusing.
Yeah, but we all
I
got the
got
point,
it.
though.
Confusing. I don't know how it's confusing.
Dylan was somehow playing spicy or
Yeah, I
sweet.
don't
Sweet or
know.
spicy?
Like I wrote this.
All right, let's
as a-
play sweet or spicy. Here we go.
Fact. Go.
My heart.
Question 2.
We'll go with Dylan this time.
Sweet,
Dylan,
sweet.
fact or fiction? The Sixers are now legit contenders after getting Paul George.
Fiction.
Fiction.
Yeah, don't give out titles in the regular season. So
James Harden's nowhere near them.
Correct.
Then it's a fact.
It's a fact, baby.
Let's go.
I
The
did
Clippers
that.
are now toast.
I took the loss on that one only out of principle alone. I knew you were going to say fact
Embiid,
for the
Tyrese
Sixers.
Maxey, and Paul George are going to
What a trio.
see what tanking gets you.
They didn't tank at all.
I know.
Sixers.
The
You're right.
10 years ago.
Yeah, you're right.
When I was
Right,
there
when
10
you were
years
there.
when I was there 10 years ago.
Remember, tanking's only cool if you draft Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown instead of Markelle Fultz and
And Ben
who's the other
Simmons.
guy? Ben Simmons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ben
always-
Simmons make a 3 yet?
I think he made one.
A roster. I don't know.
He's made 3 rows. He's been on 3 teams.
Dog, he's ass.
I know. Yeah, I'll go first on this one.
All right.
Spicy.
Close. I'm a big margarita guy. Fact or fiction?
I think you're more of a jumbo margarita. I'm going to say fact.
You it's not your preferred. You'd rather have a whiskey.
Oh yeah.
But I think you do like a marg. So the question is, are you a big margarita guy or just a margarita guy? I'm going to say fact, you do like margaritas, and you are a big
You're a big margarita guy. Yeah. You like the size of jumbo.
I'll go fact as well. Yeah.
It's fiction.
Oh, wow.
I do
Okay.
like large margaritas. like that's, if I'm going to get a marg, I'm getting like the big size. I got the 38
I was
ounce
right.
one
So
down
I
there.
read it
So I
right.
was right.
Yeah,
I was
but
right.
it was
That you
actually
like
the
the
question.
big
You like
size.
them, but
But I
you're-
don't like margaritas. I
what
really
I
don't
said.
like. I'll drink them like if we're all.
because
Just,
you're a whiskey boy.
I'm a whiskey boy,
Yeah.
or you know,
Martini, dirty
or,
olive.
So
But
you
when I was
don't-
down there, I didn't really like it, but I'm going to drink the frozen marg because it's there,
Yeah, it's there.
and what am I going to do? Not
So you-
drink it?
So you don't like it, but when you drink it, you get
Got
the
to
largest
more,
size.
more,
Correct.
more than I can even handle.
Makes
yes.
total sense. No, that's
Well,
logical.
I can handle it. I just
I'm sure you can.
That's
What's
as
next?
Logical as it gets. Lebo leads us off
Well, I
on
mean,
this one.
I'm there. I'm eating Mexican food. I'm gonna get a frozen marg,
Okay.
guys.
As you should.
I'm just not gonna enjoy
Jumbo.
it very much.
You're just not going to like it.
Grow up. All right. Grow up.
Lebo.
Yeah.
I actually understand why the ref didn't shake Pulisic's hand.
Fact.
That's a tough one.
Man, this is a difficult
Yeah.
one.
I think you know how to be a jerk, so yeah, you understand.
Man.
Jeez, fact. Lebo changed my mind.
Fiction.
It's fiction.
Yes.
Oh, I know how to be a jerk, but at the end of the day,
You still gotta shake
you
hands.
shake hands.
Total dart
Don't
throw.
be a jackwagon.
Total dart throw.
Well, you should have, because they both did the same thing. Got to be. That's how you get points.
I know I got a point there, or I would have not got a point, and I'd be even further behind.
Yeah,
but I'm not. I'm tied with
It's
Todd.
huge one.
Yeah, that was huge.
It was jumbo.
Let's start with Dylan.
Well, that was game 5, right? So that
Yeah.
you had to have it. 'Cause
You had to have
five.
game 5.
Well, that was game 4.
Got to win game 5.
That was game 5.
That was game 4.
It's the game
that was game
5 of
4.
this.
Yep, game 4. This is now game 5. This is the biggest one.
It's a big one. Dylan, NBA has the best contracts in sports.
Ooh.
For who?
Yeah.
Players. We'll say players.
Okay.
I'll say fact, yeah, just because of the Hardenstein contract, I'm guessing is the.
It's fact. Yeah, it's a fact. It's ridiculous.
God, baseball's still really
know,
good, but the max
they're-
is you have to sign. I'll say NBA, so that's a fact.
Oh, I went fact. Yeah, it's fact.
Yeah, it's a fact. It's not even close. NBA is the best. You'll see it, like, who?
Yeah, that's right. That's the difference. Is
The
like
salary cap works.
is
for
like
this.
This
who?
guy's got $72 million.
Who just got
for-
$50 million? Who in baseball doesn't get $50 million? Like
Yeah.
that guy's getting like
Like
oh my
the
god. that's
Hunter
not-
I know
Renfro,
that
the
guy.
Hunter Renfros are
Yeah.
getting like 25 a mil, and you're like, what?
Hardenstein makes $5 more million a year than Miles Garrett. So
Makes sense.
Yeah, who is that? I never heard of that guy, and he just signed a 2-year, $50 million contract. Never heard of him. Blake Snell just signed a 1-year, $30 million contract. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, he's a free agent. He was out there. I'll lead off this one.
All right, Jason.
Yep.
I love setting off fireworks, but not a huge fan of watching them.
I feel like you're the exact opposite of that. I'm gonna go fiction.
Fact.
yeah, fact.
Yeah, I like setting off fireworks.
Yeah.
but
That's a fact. That's
I don't
all
want to
I'm
just
giving
want to sit and watch. Once you've seen fireworks, like I've seen them.
You want to get involved.
I want to
wanna
get
sit and
involved.
watch.
I
Just
want
sit
to.
back
I want to
and
get some
watch.
Roman candles, hop on
You
a
wanna have a-
4-wheeler,
have a war.
and run around and try and attack people.
That's illegal in Leewood,
Yeah.
where you're from.
Well, I do it in Henryville, Indiana.
Okay.
I don't think there's much illegal there.
Not me.
Hankville.
I'm the exact opposite. I'll watch the fireworks. I don't need to. Don't need to
You're a
worry
big
about.
baby, I know.
If
got-
can't
I got all 10 of
if I
these.
can't risk
I
a
can wave
JPP situation, I
Every
don't
one of
want
my
to be there.
every one of my phalanges. Got them all. I think Todd leads us off on this one.
Lebo. Amani Bailey will be RB3.
Ooh.
Fact or fiction?
Fiction.
I'm praying it's fiction.
Fiction.
That's fiction.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fiction. I know some people are high. I didn't know if anyone was gonna.
They
really,
just high.
Some people are lighting it up.
I
Right
know some
now.
people are high, but also what do
So
they think about
high.
Amani Bailey?
Guilty.
Dylan, you lead us off.
You
on
gotta
this
mark that, dude. You gotta mark yourself on that one.
one. All right, Dylan leads us off. Next, it's Todd with 5. Dylan and I have 4.
All right, Dylan. Seth Lugo will be the AL starter.
Want it to be fact.
Are you going fact?
Yeah, I gotta go fact.
Fact.
Spicy.
Sweet.
I haven't looked at the dates on whatever.
He starts
but
on Saturday before the All-Star game. They also have they have a break, or they have a day off, so they could move them to Friday, and skip somebody's
I'm
start.
just gonna say fact because it should.
And
be.
I'll say name, basically.
Okay, yeah,
Just-
fact.
It's fact. I think Seth Lugo is. Anyone who says otherwise.
It's silly.
I think if you start on Saturday, the Royals would allow you to pitch 1 inning
And
on Tuesday.
What's funny
It's a
is.
bullpen.
Yeah, just start
Like,
1 inning.
the
on
whole
Tuesday.
point of baseball is, for a starter at least, who can have the lowest ERA while throwing the most innings.
That's right.
And having the most wins, if you want to count that, if you want to go old school with it. He has all 3. For all like the nerds, like, well, what about his strikeouts? He's got a lower ERA. The goal is
he
not
just had-
how do you get it
I mean,
done.
he
it's-
just had 10 against
it's
Cleveland.
getting it
so
done.
He's striking people out.
It ain't
too.
exactly like he's a soft tossing guy
I'm
that's
gonna freaking scream at these
getting ground
nerds.
balls
And I'm one of the
constantly.
nerds, but like, come on, nerds.
Me this time. I'll lead off.
Jason,
Yep.
I'm an RC man over Coke and Pepsi.
Oh man. These are tough, man. I am
It's
not.
fact or fiction.
Yeah, I'm
trying
not
to-
reading you on these today.
I'm trying to really give you a hard time.
Yeah. I'm still. I know you're a big RC fan. I'm gonna go fiction, but man, I'm gonna go fiction because I don't have the stones to say fact.
I'm gonna say fact because you used to go to Rosedale with your dad all the time. But I don't think you go and buy RCs. But I'm calling fact.
I'll go fact.
It's It's a fact.
Damn it.
I don't really go out and buy soda at all.
fact.
Frankly, I don't drink soda, but I got one a day, and I just
Took you back,
took me
didn't it?
back and go.
Right.
Damn, I love an RC.
Yeah.
It's Royal Crown Cola right there for you.
Yep. Should be Rosedale.
Rosedale Crown.
Rosedale Crown.
All right, I think it's Lebo now.
Yeah.
Lebo.
Yeah.
All 3 local college football teams exceed their betting odds.
So what do we have?
We had
9.5 for Missouri.
Mizzou was 9.5. I want to say KU was 9 or 8.5.
K-State's
And K-State was
8.5.
9.5, I think.
I'm gonna say fiction. Someone's gonna not do it.
I'm gonna go fact.
These are lofty numbers.
Eternal
for all of them.
optimist here.
I forget what it was. I looked up all the numbers. We were driving down to the lake, and we were
You
know
looked it
had
up
a
while you
long
were
drive.
driving?
Yeah.
I was in the back seat.
Okay.
We were
Having a
looking
big
up.
marg.
I was having some Busch Lights on the way down. I actually Mick Ultras. I was watching my figure.
Golf trip.
They all exceed.
Or get
Oh,
there.
you're gonna
is
bet
like-
the over on all of them?
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna go fiction.
It's fact. We went through all 3 schedules, and all 3 behoove KU, K-State, and Mizzou.
I think I might want to put something on all of the overs, but all 3 of them coming through on that parlay.
Odds are pretty low.
Unlikely.
I get it, but man,
I'm not fighting you on it.
No, I think Mizzou gets
We'll
there.
go back and
I
check
think K-State gets there, and I think KU gets there too. And I think all 3 schools. I'm bullish on all 3.
Todd and Dylan are tied with 7. I've got 5.
Dylan's up.
Dylan starts on this one. 2 more to go.
All right, I gotta take my headset off and show you guys a picture.
2 more to go.
Um,
I'm down by 2. So
it's
now
a
I'm just gonna play
very,
the opposite.
very. This is gonna be tough for you, for
Okay.
everyone listening. But did I hit this fairway?
You want to describe? So what do you? Say okay. So he's showing the picture to Dylan right now. Of, I'm assuming a golf course is what he means by the fairway.
Oh, fact.
Let me see.
I was gonna say I didn't want to give it away,
Hold
but
on.
You piped
Did
it.
he hit this
I could hit
fairway?
that fairway, and I've played golf once in the last 2 years.
You and I,
Yeah.
that's a hard. That was a hard.
No,
fairway.
there's that wide landing spot right out
No,
in front
that's
of you
water.
before
The water
water
cuts out directly,
No,
and you have a
before
tree on the left.
before the water is still
Oh,
a
no,
landing
no,
spot if you want to
You
lay
go
it.
up on the green.
Hey, we believe in you.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm
fact.
gonna say Dylan. You said fact.
Yeah,
I
go
said
fact.
Fact. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Of course
I've
you did,
I've
yeah.
piped that drive in.
You know
That
why?
thing-
Because he wouldn't have shown us if
No.
he
No,
didn't.
the
hit.
wide part. You can go over the bunker on the right.
We're up against it. What's the last question?
Yeah, that was
Great drive.
that was a layup, man.
Beautiful. I sometimes got to throw in a freebie.
Yeah.
Huge cheesy corn as a side guy.
Fact.
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 It's fiction.
Oh, I
no,
hate
fuck.
cheesy corn.
Yeah, I don't give me corn.
What's the score? What's the tiebreaker?
As a tiebreaker fanboy and his Sterling.
Could be.
It is.
Logo?
Half the tiebreaker is that,
Okay.
and the other half is guess the rough amount of beers I drank during my boy's bachelor party. I have no idea really. I'm
Oh,
doing
okay,
some
so
math in my head.
yes.
I'm
Great.
doing some math in my head.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
Whoever's the closest
How many
wins.
days?
How many did Wade Boggs have?
Thursday night, Friday, Saturday.
Okay.
All right. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll do that next.
Hey everyone, if you're trying to celebrate the 4th of July, stop in with Greenlight Dispensary because they're giving away a bunch of top shelf 8s for $25 off all month long, and that is for July, and they're going to be